Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Beginning this journey, the journey to salvation, the journey to liberation, the journey to our freedom, begins with one small step. And yes, the old adage comes to mind. It's one small step for a man, but a giant leap for mankind. It begins with one small step. And if you were to ask me, well, Swaminathan, what is that one small step that you speak of? This is one of those journeys. You're not going to get very far if you don't begin without having seen the destination. You need to know where you're heading. You need to know where you're aiming. You need to know your target. You need to know your destination. Without a good, solid view of that final goal, you're not going to get anywhere. It's not like you're going to get halfway there. You're simply not going to get anywhere. Because unlike most other journeys where you can kind of make it up as you go along, unfortunately, you can't do that with the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is the only way, the only path to one's salvation. Have you ever heard or read the Noble Eightfold Paths? Ever come across that? No, and why is that? Because there's only one of them. It's the Noble Eightfold Path. There's only one. You need to see the destination. You need to have seen what the destination is, where this Noble Eightfold Path leads you, before you actually make a start. In fact, seeing the destination is one and the same as having begun the journey. Does that sound like a riddle? Having seen the destination is one and the same as having begun the journey. If you are someone who has embarked on this journey, if you are someone who is on the Noble Eightfold Path, then you are someone who knows crystal clearly, with laser sharp precision, what nirvana is. If the concept of nirvana is still a bit iffy, if it's one of those gray areas, what's nirvana? Oh, it's one of those gray areas. I can't quite put my finger on it. Well, you ain't nowhere near to nirvana. You ain't even on the path. Because this is a straight road ahead. Once you're on it, it's a straight road ahead. It's as the crow flies, you can see the destination. And once you've seen the destination, the appeal is so strong. The lure of it is so strong that you can't give in to anything else. In fact, the sole purpose of your life becomes to complete this journey and get to the other side, where you can live happily. Don't just complete my half sentences. Don't let me put words into your mouth. I said where you can live happily ever after. Is there such a thing? No, that's only in fairy tales. Nirvana is not a fairy tale. Because you know now that there is no such thing as living happily ever after. Because Can you be and happy at the same time? The concept of being happy is flawed. You can't be and be happy at the same time. Happiness and being are mutually exclusive. Because being is a concept that is worldly, and our interpretation of happiness is out of this world, which means it's on Andromeda, right? Out of this world. It's out of this solar system. It's on the other one. Is that what I mean by that? No. What I mean is the happiness that we are on, the path to achieving, is one that is unconditional. Can you name one thing that is unconditional except for nirvana? One thing that is worldly but unconditional. Now everything is conditioned. Everywhere you look, you see cause and effect. The fact that I'm speaking to you right now is the effect of a number of causes. If you hadn't turned up, I wouldn't be here right now. That's only one of those reasons. Do you remember when we had some problems? You didn't turn up that day. I was waiting for you guys. You never turned up. I didn't know things were going on out there until I got the message saying that you're not going to be turning up. So now we have to pay attention. Okay, Buddha, we have to pay attention now. So we're on a journey. Well, are you? I don't know, because I can't answer that question for you. One sure and short way to know if you're on the journey is if I ask you the question, what is nirvana? And you can give me a clear-cut answer to that. And not one of those, can I go 50-50? Actually, can I ring a friend? Can I get the lifeline? No, this ain't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. No, you need to be able to give me a clear-cut answer to what is nirvana. It has to be clear. It may be that you don't have quite the right words to express it, but deep down in your heart and in your mind, you need to know exactly what nirvana is. Because this is not firing in the wind and seeing, let's see where it hits. It's not one of those things. If you're on the Noble Eightfold Path, I tell you, you don't actually even need a teacher anymore. The Dhamma is your teacher. So here's what I'm saying. If you're being on the Noble Eightfold Path, having embarked on the journey to nirvana, having seen what nirvana is, being someone who does not essentially need a teacher, are all one and the same. It's just the same way of me expressing, just multitude of ways of me expressing what nirvana is. So this, you need to know if you're on the right track. The thing is, until you're on the right track, no matter how much you toil and work hard to reach a destination, you're heading to the wrong destination because you haven't got your bearings right. So I want you to ask yourselves now, if I were to ask you, what is nirvana? Do you have a clear-cut answer to that question? It's not a gray area. It's not one of those, it's neither black nor white, and it's gray. It's one of those things you can't put your finger on. It's not one. You can't come up with the answers like that. And one might say, well, is it not the extinguishing of raga, dvesha and moha? Yeah, well, those are some words. Now you could read the scripture and say, this is exactly what the Buddha said nirvana is. It's unconditional bliss. Etan santang etam panitang yadidang sabba sankhara samato. He said that was what nirvana is. Sabbupadipati nissaggo. He said that was what nirvana is. Tanhakyo, he said that was what nirvana is. Virago, he said that was what nirvana is. Nirodho, see? He's described nirvana in a multitude of ways. But do any of these things really mean anything to you? Or are they simply words? That is what matters. You need to know, folks, what nirvana is. You need to have realized it. And I'm not talking about simply knowledge, because knowledge is just words. What is nirvana? You could show me this. What is nirvana? You know what? You could show me this. So what does that mean? Nirvana is in this? No. You need to be able to explain to me how through this you can realize nirvana. Because once you have realized it, you will see it everywhere. This is not something that comes from a fantasy story. It's not like you're going to see stars glistening everywhere. Oh, that's what nirvana is. It's not like a radiance of colors. That's not what nirvana is. To put it in really, really, really simple terms, when you have achieved a state of mind where you are free of desire, you have no preference for anything. You're not vexing for anything. Whatever goes. You don't have a favorite color. You don't have a favorite item of food. You don't have a favorite song. And genuinely, not you're pretending I don't have a favorite color. You have no interest in finding out what's going on out there. Someone calls your name and you'll only turn your head to look at them out of duty, not because you're vexing to know why did they use my name? Why did they call me? When someone puts an item of food in front of you and you're not salivating. I know. It's a state of mind where you are free of all suffering. But for that, you need to have realized that actually all of the above things that I just described is suffering. What? You have a favorite color that's suffering? That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? To have a favorite color is to say that I suffer. Are you seeing the connection? If you have realized Nibbana, you are seeing the connection. If I ask you the question, what is your favorite item of food, and you can answer that question for me, and you know that no matter what answer you give to that, you are flawed in your answer, as in the fact that you can answer that question is incorrect. There's something fundamentally wrong with you that you can answer that question. If you are able to do that, and knowing fully well that if I answer that question, that is simply my ignorance that is speaking out loud, then you are someone who has seen Nibbana. Because in real terms, you should not be able to answer that question, right? If you ask an Arahant, what is your favorite item of food? They're going to say what? I don't have one. What is your favorite color? I don't have one. That's the state of mind we are trying to get to. And that's not because it's so bad to have a favorite color. So what's so wrong with having a favorite color? How is that suffering? Well, it is. Because if you have a favorite color, then you desire X. If X is your favorite color, then you desire X. In other words, you dread the day you'd go blind. Because if you were to go blind, now what would you not be able to see? X. When you say you have a favorite color, what that means is, I'd like to see that all day, all night long. Give me that color and I'll keep looking at it, I'll stare at it all day if I have to. You should not be able to answer that question. At least if you're answering that question and you know that you shouldn't be able to answer that question, then that's great, because now you're on the right path. And from that day forward, what you're trying to do is to get your mind into a state where you're unable to answer that question. So really, Nirvana in some aspects is becoming handicapped. What you were able to do before you became an Arahant, you are no longer able to do after you have become an Arahant. You are handicapped. Because before you become an arahant, I ask you what's your favorite color and you have an answer. The day you become an arahant, I ask you what's your favorite color and you have no answer. So I'm taking away your power to answer that simple question, what is your favorite color? What is your favorite item of food? I'm taking away that the power to answer that very simple question. Does that all sound like Greek so far? Excellent. Now I'm giving you something to think. I want to help start putting some question boxes in your mind map and then help you draw the connections through the course of the journey. And it'll all start to make sense. Because when you have those question marks and then you find an answer, how does that make you feel? Good, huh? See, I like to please. We like to excel in customer service. Always like to please. So I like to leave you riddled at the beginning and then help you find some answers as we go along. Give you a riddle to work on. A bone to chew. You like chewing bones? Why did I see you at KFC last night then? So let's try and find some answers. Before that, I was thinking about this the other day, right? And I was delighted when this thought came into my mind, and I thought I must share it with you. I realized that actually I have a cast iron guarantee about something. I can give you all a cast iron guarantee that before the end of the next 2,500 years, hang on, that's only 2.5 millennia. It's not a long time to go, considering how long you've come. Right? That's not a very long time to go. I can guarantee that in the next 2,500 years, you will become an anagami. If you can guarantee to me that you will become a sotapanna before you die. I will guarantee to you, I'll give you this cast iron guarantee, you will become an anagami, a non-returner, in the next 2,500 years. If you can give me the promise and if you will work towards becoming a sotapanna before you die. Now come on, it doesn't get a lot better than that, surely. How long did you think you're going to have to wait until you become an anagami? A non-returner? Now you didn't have you didn't have a clue, did you? Even as a stream enterer, you know that you have 7 bhava or forms of existence to go. I'm going to show you a video today about how we go through in samsara with the arising and the passing away of the mind and all the shapes and forms that we take upon ourselves. It'll help you begin to understand this journey through samsara. But anyway, coming back to the point I was talking to you about. If you can give me a guarantee that you will become a sotapanna, and if you will work towards it, even if it's on your deathbed, if you become a sotapanna, I can give you a guarantee that you will become an anagami, a non-returner, within the next 2,500 years. And how is that? How come I can give you that guarantee? Here's how. When the next Buddha comes along, which is the Maitri Buddha. The Maitri Buddha is going to be coming before the end of this eon. That much we know. And before the next Buddha comes along, our Buddha or the Gautama Buddha's dispensation has to have ceased to exist. Now we know that it will only last for another 2,500 years. Between the time of our Buddha's dispensation coming to an end and Maitri Buddha coming into this world is a period where we lack Buddhas. There are no Buddhas. It's called what is called the Buddha Shunya Kala, a time which is void of Buddhas. Now, in the dispensation of one Buddha, so ours is 5,000 years, of which 2.5 have already passed us by. In the 2,500 years left, all beings who will have attained any form of margapala, noble attainments, have to exit the kamavachara worlds, which is the sensual sphere, so which includes the four hells. Well, of course, there are no beings in the four hells which have achieved noble attainments, that much we know. The human world, the Deva worlds, and all the way up to Paranimita Vasavarti, which is the highest Deva world. So none of the karma worlds, none of the sensual worlds can actually be residents to any beings who have attained noble states. That has to finish, or they all have to exit the karma world by the time the Buddha's dispensation comes to an end. And we know that we only have 2,500 years left. So, can I now not give you that guarantee? If you become a Sotapanna, you only have 2,500 years left, whether you like it or not, to become an Anagami. So what does that? Does that not tell you that you will become an Anagami within the next 2,500 years, and all you have to do is become a Sotapanna, and then just lay back, sip your Bacardi, and take it easy. Actually, I wasn't condoning alcohol there, by the way. I mean, that's a guarantee. That's a law, that's a principle. That's how it has to work. It has to work that way. So you see, all you have to do is become a Sotapanna. In the next 2,500 years, you will become an Anagami, a non-returner. You will never come back into the sensual world. You won't even be in the sensual world. So you can't be in the Deva worlds. You have to be at least in the lowest Brahma world. So if you want to know what it's like there, see, there's another way you can go there for sure. You don't have to practice the jhanas. You don't have to go into deep states of meditation or anything like that. All you have to do is become a Sotapanna. The rest will look after itself. Now come on, it doesn't get better than that, surely. So aren't you lucky then? Aren't you glad that a Maitri Buddha is coming around? Why? So we can hang around and say hello to him? No. Because we can make use of a fundamental principle, a theory of the Dhamma, that if you become a Sotapanna, or there can't be any Margapala, or those who have attained noble states around in the Kamavachara worlds, in the sensual worlds, by the time a Buddha's dispensation comes to an end. Now you may have heard of Sahampati, who was a Brahma, who descended from the Brahma worlds and came down and invited the Buddha to preach the Dhamma. So he's a Brahma, he's not a Deva. He wasn't a Deva. There are no beings who have attained noble attainments in any of the karma spheres, sensual spheres, at the time a Buddha comes into this world. So anyway, that was a cast iron guarantee, right? I just wanted you to know that your money is safe here. Okay? You can trust me. Just sign the dotted line. Don't worry about the terms and conditions. You can read the fine print later on. No, but what is the fine print though? You have to be diligent in your practice and become a Sotapanna. So what does that require? It requires listening to the Dhamma. That's the easy part. All you have to do is stay awake, right? That's easy, isn't it? Is it not? Why are you so reluctant to answer that simple question? All you have to do is stay awake, come on. Is that so hard to do? Sometimes it seems like that's the hardest bit. But actually, no, the harder bit comes next. It's contemplation. To reflect on the Dhamma. In other words, the application of what you hear into your life experiences so that this becomes true to you. It's no good that I can say all there is to say about nirvana and you sit there like a pumpkin, listening to everything I say, and yes, Swamin Wahansa, no Swamin Wahansa, 3 bags full Swamin Wahansa. That's no good. There's no value in that. And I could be saying Baba black sheep then, right? Surely. What you have to do is apply everything I say into your life, and you're all experts in what? In what? What are you experts in? What are you all experts in? Come on, what? Living, life, yes. Between all of you, you've got at least 1,000 years of experience, haven't you? Yeah, the makeup ain't that good. You got a few hundred years at least of experience between all of you put together, right? So you've got plenty of life experience. A 7-year-old has enough life experience to apply what the Buddha has taught us. All you need to be is 7 years of age, have some intellect, have some intelligence, and plenty of life experience. That's all there is. These are all the prerequisites for when you turn up here. Oh, and there's one more thing. Be open-minded. Because if you build your walls so high up and so thick that no one can penetrate it, then you're simply blocking yourself from anything new that can come to you and perhaps have a positive effect on your life. So be open-minded. Simple. Stay awake, number 1. Number 2, be open-minded. Number 3, listen. Number 4, put what you listen into practice. When? Next week? No, the week after. Eh? Now. Indeed, now. Are you all prepared to do that? Is that too much to ask? No, I haven't even taken a deposit yet. See? All of this without even taking a deposit. I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that. Now, the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to you about wanting, desire, longing, yearning. These are all synonyms of the problem. The shame of it is that this is not what a lot of people see as the problem being. We've always learned from others, ever since we came into this planet, before we ever had any noble association, that the problem was with not having what we wanted. Right? We didn't have what we wanted. The day you came into this world, there were lots of things you wanted, or well, there were some things you wanted, and then you were at the mercy of your parents to provide you, or whoever was looking after you, your guardians, to provide you with what you wanted. And then slowly and gradually and eventually, you began to want more and more things. They gave you a mobile phone in your hands, right? This is what they do to kids these days. And then there's what? What's that pig game? Can't remember now. Birds. What birds? Angry Birds, thank you. Geez, it's been a while. Angry Birds. So, kid gets given a mobile phone, a tablet, right? And that's how we get kids to shush when they start crying these days. Angry Birds. Does it not say on the tin what it does that to your kids? What's the first word? Happy. Sorry, what? Oh, angry. So what you're teaching your kids is, if there's something out there you don't like, then destroy it. Even if it means you have to sacrifice yourself. By hook or by crook, I shall get what it is I want. even if it means I have to put myself in danger. Well, how does Angry Birds work? If I remember it, there's this slingshot, and you pull the bird back, and it goes whoop-woo, right? And it goes and crashes into this castle or whatever. The pigs, yes, thank you. Oh, so you know it. Where's this child's mum? Want to have a word with her. You're lucky I can't reach you from here, madam. Now, I just want you to think, what is the lesson we give our children from a very young age? I have nothing against Angry Birds, by the way. I used to be a fan of it. Right? But the lesson that we give to our young children, if there's something out there you don't like, then even if it's by sacrifice of another living being, I know it seems so, it's just a cartoon, Swaminathan. What are you so serious about? It's just a cartoon, it's just a game. That's what you think. But children's minds are like sponges. They pick up everything. If I spoke to your young child, 6, 7, 8 years of age, give me an hour with your child and I'll tell you all the domestic problems you have at home. Every fight, every argument you have had in the last 6 months, I will spell it out to you, word for word. Give me an hour with your child, I'll tell you what your problem is. Why you say I can't? Leave your kid here for a week. And then come back. I have all the information to give you family counseling. No, children's minds are like sponges. They pick up everything. Absolutely everything. The problem is because they don't know right from wrong. They pick up everything. So what we train ourselves, what we train our children, what we teach our children from a very young age is wanting. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to want. It's okay to desire. It's okay to have hopes and ambitions and goals. Is it not? I know the question mark in your mind right now. Well, surely it's okay to have goals and dreams and ambitions and goals. I thought last week you said, Swaminathan, that you have them. Oh yes, I do. But they're very different to the ones I used to have. All my goals now put together help me achieve one purpose. And that is to bring into my life a change whereby I no longer need to set goals. My goal is to achieve a state whereby I no longer need to set goals, where I no longer need to have an ambition. I no longer need to have targets and goals and so forth. But until such time that became my goal, my list of goals was endless. Pages and pages and pages worth of it. Every year I had picked up a new diary and started writing what are my goals for the next 3 months, what are my goals for the next 6 months, what are my goals for the next 9 months, what are my goals for the next 12 months. That's how I started my year. Goal setting, planning, going and speaking to the right people who could help me out, going into seminars, listening to positive thinking, talks and audio tapes and ebooks and audiobooks. Because I never realized that it's wrong to want. I never realized that. I thought that wanting is perfectly fine. And I thought the problem was not having what you want. See, so what is the problem with not having what you want? When there's something out there you want, but you don't have it, then your goal becomes, what is it I need to do to achieve it? So you desire something, and now you go through the process of acquiring it, acquiring what you desire. Acquire what you desire. And to acquire what you desire, We engage in various activities. There could be mental, there could be verbal, there could be physical. So a three-pronged approach to acquiring what you desire: mental, verbal, and physical. And we go through the process of acquiring what we desire. So why did we go to school? Why did we go to work? Why did we go on holiday? Why did we earn money? Why did we save money? Why did we invest? All for the reasons of wanting what we desire. If I'm right, there can't be a single thing in your life that you have done which was not for the purpose of acquiring what you wanted, acquiring what you desired. So this has been how you lived your life thus far. You set your mind on something, I want X, and then you go through a process of acquiring it until you achieve X, and then what happens? Now you're happy, now you're at peace? No. Then X plus 1. And then you embark on this journey of acquiring that. And you go on this process. It could take sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. Ultimately you achieve it, and then X plus 2. And usually it's not just one thing you want at any given time. Right? If I ask you what are some things you would like to have, I'm sure you could come up with plenty of things right now. I'm working on this one, I'm working on my next promotion. My wife and I are working on having a child. Right? I'm working with my friends on starting up a venture capital business. A few of our friends have gotten together and we are starting up a new business. A few of my friends, we are working on a software. This is what we're doing. We are working up a software package to do the X, Y, Z. Right? Lots of things you're working on at any given time. Right now, if I asked you, is there anything wrong with any of these things? You say no. It's fine, this is how we live life. In fact, that is what life is after all, right? Setting goals and then working to achieving them. So you've done that now. For how many years? How many years have you trialed it? So you're still trialing, right? How many years have you trialed it? Are you ashamed to say that out loud? That's the right answer, Buddha. Throughout samsara. But one might not know about samsara. One might say, I'm not really sure about samsara, that we had previous births. That's fine, you don't have to believe in that. But you know for a fact that in this lifetime, you have trialed it up until now. And even today, you're still trying. See, your philosophy for happiness is flawed. That's the problem. The path that you have embarked on to achieve happiness is wrong. Dare I suggest? What right do I have to say this to you? I know it. I've been there, done that, gone to the gig, bought the t-shirt, I know it all. Been there and done that. I know it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work because there's no such thing that you can do. There's no one thing you can do to achieve ultimate happiness. The very thing that you do for the sake of happiness is the thing that puts you back into a state of misery. See, don't you see it's flawed? You worked hard to get a job, didn't you? Did you not all work hard to get a job? What did you do the day you got the job? Now you start working hard on the job. So you worked hard on getting a job to do what? To be happy. What have you been doing ever since? Working hard on the job. Aren't there those among you who complain about work? What's your favorite day of the week? Monday, right? Why? I thought a job makes you happy. So hang on. Let me get this straight. Just in case I'm missing the trick here. So a young kid, we ask the kid, why do you go to school? So I can be big, I can learn lots of lovely things, and one day I want to go to universities. He can't even say the damn thing. Right, this is not what he wants to do. Who wants him to do this? His folks. His folks want him to do this. I want to go to university. Right? Okay, fine, you want to go to university. So what do you want to do when you go there? I want to study more. I want to get a degree. And then I want to get myself a job. Why put that? Why do you want to do that? Because that's when I'm going to be happy. Fantastic. Off you go then. So pay attention to this story because none of you have done that, right? So let's listen to what this guy has to say because none of you have done that. So you don't know what that's like. So he goes to school, he gets good grades, he goes to university, he gets good grades, passes out, and then goes and eventually finds a job. So now he worked hard on getting a job, did he not? And the day he gets a job, he throws a party. All of his batchmates, all of his friends, they are invited. Let's have a party here. Hurrah! I got this job. Fantastic. He rings everyone. Rings the neighbor, rings the neighbor's dog. Everyone knows now in the neighborhood that this guy's got a job. But the day he gets the job is the last day he celebrated getting a job. From that day forward, he has to work hard on the job. How many days did you enjoy getting out of bed saying, I have a job to go to today? Fantastic. I'm not trying to be negative about this. I'm just trying to be realistic about it. If none of you have ever complained about jobs, then I wouldn't even be talking about this subject. You know very well that when you get together with friends, right, you do like to have a moan or two, don't you, about your work? Let's be honest. The 3 W's. You heard that? The 3 W's. Work, weather, and the last one. I don't want to be sexist, so I won't say it out loud. The 3 W's that people like to complain about. Work, weather, and the other one. So when you get together with your mates, when you get together with your friends, you have a moan about these things. Oh, and politics. Oh, and the football. What else? The economy. When was the last time you found yourself, I don't have anything to complain about? I don't have anything to moan about. When was the last time you found yourself in that position? No, there's always something to complain about, even if it's your rowdy neighbors next door. Always have something to complain about. The reason you always have something to complain about is because you expect them to work in your favor. You want them to be the way you want them to be. That's why you always have reason to complain. What is a complaint after all? An expression of dissatisfaction. That is what a complaint is, an expression of dissatisfaction. What is dissatisfaction? It is not to my satisfaction. In other words, I am not being satisfied. In other words, I expect this, I don't get this, I get that. So, I'm not satisfied. So isn't a complaint after all simply another way of saying the world's not to my liking? So you worked hard on getting yourself a job, now you work hard on the job. And evidence of that is when you get together with a few friends, when you have 1 or 2 to drink, right? Then you start moaning about it, you start complaining. How many of you are looking forward to retirement? If you haven't already. Why do people look forward to retirement? I mean, surely, if work is so fun, so fantastic, and so fabulous, you shouldn't want to look forward to retirement. People look forward to retirement. Does that not say, when the guy celebrates his retirement day, does that not say a lot about the time he spent at work? Think about it. I have reminded you, why does it say on the tombstone, R.I.P.? Yeah, what does that say about the life he lived? So his birth certificate should say NFP, never found peace. And then eventually the tombstone can now say RIP, you can now rest in peace. No, you've got to stop and think. All these goals, all these dreams, all these ambitions that we had for ourselves, expecting that they would bring us happiness, ultimately did not lead us the right path. This is why I say, Nibbana you can't do like that. You can't play this game like you played every other game. Like, let's try it out and see what goes. Let's try it out and see what happens. Well, every time you did that, did you not fail? Every time you used this strategy of happiness, which was, let's try it out, see what happens, you failed. Examples? School. Let's try it out, see what happens. You did it all for happiness. Were you happy the day you graduated from school? Were you really? I'm talking about happiness that is everlasting. No, because there were still things that you wanted to achieve. You weren't done. You're never done. Some people are too busy to die. Too busy to die. Death comes knocking on their door. Sorry, I'm too busy, come tomorrow. I've still got things I have to do before I die. They've got a list of things you got to do before you die now, right? Movies to watch before you die. Restaurants to eat at before you die. What other before you die things do they have out there now? Cars to drive before you die. Places to go before you die. Mountains to climb before you die. What else do they have? You know. Don't be so shy about it now, right? You can be open and honest. I don't want to say the more obscene things, but you know. Things to do before you die. But this is a never-ending list. When was the last time anyone died happy? Because if you give that guy another chance, do you want 5 more minutes? Yes, please. Because there's still things left to do. I still have some more to do before I die. If only I could have another 5 minutes. Sometimes, people do complain about life, right? And they say, I wish I was dead. I don't want to live anymore. I want to take my life. People complain about these things. All they're saying is, again, I'm dissatisfied. Because the configuration of life right now is not the way I want it, but give me a better life, I'll take it. It's just not the way I want it right now. Give me a different configuration and I'll take it. So what they're not saying, or what they're saying is not, I have no more desire to be around. What they're saying is, I want to be around, just not this way. I want it the other way. If I can't have it the other way, then I'm out of here. Go looking for the other way. To be one with God. To be somewhere else. To be with the Buddha. Some people die to be with the Buddha. Did you know that? Some people die to go and be with the Buddha. If the Buddha knew that there'd be people coming looking for him after he's dead, if he'd known that, that would be the day he would have gone into Parinibbana. That's it. I don't want to hang around this place anymore. There are people who want to be with me after I'm gone. Can you be with the Buddha anymore? No, you can't be with the Buddha. He's gone. Where is he now? He's nowhere. So let me bring you back down to earth. Get yourselves grounded, put on your seat belts. Get ready for the ride. I want you all to start thinking seriously. Seriously about what awaits you. Think about all the things you're attached to right now. The things you're attracted to right now, the things you desire, the things you want right now. Do you not want to hear my voice? Is that not why you're here? Did you not want to see me when you walked in here? Do you not want to see things? The next time you blink your eyes and you open them, and if everything goes dark, you can't see anymore, how would that make you feel? As I'm saying this sentence, what happens all of a sudden if I just go, oh, you're laughing now, because it hasn't happened to you. But one day it will. Why are the prisons a form of punishment? Because people haven't seen the problem yet. They imprison people as a means of putting a barrier between them and acquiring what they desire. So a guy wants to be with his family. You put the guy in a cell, now he can no longer be with his family. A guy wants to go places. You put him in a cell and now he can no longer go places. A guy likes to eat Chinese. They put the guy in the cell and now he can no longer have Chinese. All he can have is what gets given to him. Bland food on a metal plate. He just has to live with whatever's given to him. Why is the prison a punishment? Do they starve people there? Now I'm talking about, standard prison. There may be prisons where they starve people, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a humane prison, not an inhumane one. Okay? Or let's say a correction center. A rehabilitation center. Why is that a form of punishment? Because they feed you, they give you shelter, they give you clothing, and if you're ill, they'll treat you. What more could you ask for? The answer is lots more. And they don't give you that. And that's why it's a form of punishment. So you can't listen to the FM. You can't download your favorite tracks. You can't post on Facebook, not that you would from prison anyway, and tag yourself. Pardon the pun. You can't do these things. You can't go bowling with your friends. You can't go play a round of golf. You can't go see the sunset or go to the beaches. Right? So you want to do these things, but you can't do them, and therefore they call it punishment. So really, you can only punish someone by putting someone in a cell for as long as there are things that they want, right? If I'm able to take away wanting from your minds, if I'm able to talk to you, help convince you that there is nothing in this world that is worth desiring, can anyone lock you up in a prison and say you are punished? No. Again, wanting is the problem. Did I not tell you we used to go and preach at the Valikada prisons? We preached at the prisons. Why did they forbid us from coming in there? That was before they put the curfew on us. That was before then. That's because I thought I was being smart. When in fact I was probably being quite stupid. Because I went and gave this sermon where I said, right, dear inmates, you think this is a punishment? Hey, you get free food, you get clothing for free, you get shelter for free, and if you're ill, they take you to the hospital for free. You and I are much the same. So why do you think that you are in prison? And I said, of course, I know the answer. And that's because when asked the question, is there anything else you need? And you go, yes, there are lots of other things that we need. I want to be with my friends. I want to be with our family, with my family. I want to go places. I want to see things. I have people to see, things to do, right? I have all these things I want to do. Aha! They haven't imprisoned you. You have imprisoned yourself. What is the word of imprisonment? Want. Give me another prison. Give me another word for prison. Want. So I promised them, listen to me. And I asked them to do exactly the things I asked you to do at the start of this sermon. I said, be awake. Listen. Pay attention. Contemplate. Apply what I'm teaching you into your lives. And be open-minded. Do these 4 things. And I'll help you break free. They didn't like that. Who's they? The officials. They didn't like that. I could almost hear the officers saying, keep an eye on that guy. What was I talking about? Why, helping them literally break free? No. Why would you break free, or why should you get out of prison? I have no reason for someone wanting to get out of prison. It's the best place to be. Is it not? Give me one other place where you get free food, free meals, free clothing, free shelter, and whenever you're ill, you get given food. You can't tell me hospital. You can't give me that because you're there because you're ill in the first place, right? In prison, you get all this for free. No bills to pay. And you don't have your lousy relatives coming and visiting you all the time. You can do whatever you want, right? They don't keep interrupting you. No lengthy phone calls to answer that you can't hang up. No, because they hang it up on your behalf, right, at the prison? So you can't be saying, I really have to go. Like you have to convince the people you speak on the phone, sorry, I really have to go, I'm a bit busy. Right? You don't have to do any of that. You just have to keep talking until they disconnect your line. So I don't know why anyone would want to get out of prison. It's the best place to be. And they don't put all the rubbish there is in the world out there, right? All the politics and all the bank robberies that go on, all the muggings and all the carjackings and all the hijackings. They don't put all this junk into your heads. You don't have any emails to respond to, no deadlines to meet, no reports to file, no emails to send, no bosses to please. Yes, let's all go to prison. Because that is not what prison is. True imprisonment is mental. If you have desire in your mind right now, it doesn't matter what the distance is between you and the 4 walls surrounding you. Doesn't matter how big that is, what the distance is, because in a cell, the 4 walls are very close to you. At home, you've got a bit more distance. That's not what imprisonment is. Imprisonment is wanting, yearning, needing, and longing, which trouble your mind day and night. Because you're not free. If there is anything you want, you're not free. How can you have a peaceful sleep? Do none of you struggle or have trouble with sleeping at night? Have you never had that? Falling asleep at night because of problems that have kept you awake? I can't remember the last time someone in prison got stressed out. I don't think it happens there. Stressed out. But do you not recall the last time you or someone you know, someone in the family, went to see a psychiatrist because you had stress problems, anxiety problems? Well, they don't have that stuff in prisons. So really, the only form of punishment there is the punishment that you give unto yourself. We are a funny race. We really are. What race? The human race. We are a funny race. You know what? From the day we came onto this planet, we've been fighting for our freedom. Right? The blacks fought for their freedom. Women fought for their freedom. They keep fighting for their freedom. Everyone in their capacity fights for their freedom. People fight for freedom of speech. People fight for the right to vote. People fight for their right to have their own sexual orientation and to be open and honest about it in open. People fight for all sorts of things when they actually don't realize they're all fighting for the wrong thing. So we're a funny race. Those who believe in evolution, human evolution, will quote me how long humans have been evolving. How many millions of years now? Anyone? I can't remember the facts now. How many people? 65 billion. You sure? Okay, I'm taking your word on that, okay? Okay, this Buddha in the audience says it's 65 billion, so don't quote me on that. You don't know who's listening to these things, that's why. So if we have been evolving for 65 billion years, over the course of 65 billion years, that seems like a lot of time. Are you sure it's not 65 million? I'm not sure the world's been around that long. Anyway, okay, let's say 65 million. You okay with that for now? Okay. 65 million years, if humans have been evolving for that time, right? They've been fighting for various things. They've been fighting for their rights. They've been fighting for freedom. In other words, fighting for rights is the same thing as fighting for freedom. Freedom to do various things. Freedom to do as they like. That is what fighting is. Fighting for freedom is the freedom to do as they like. Fighting to lower the tax rates. Why? Because they don't like to pay high rates of tax. Fighting for the right to vote. Fighting for equal rights. These are all things that people fight for. Freedom fighters. But the pity is, they've all been fighting a losing battle. That's not the fight that is worth fighting. Because for as long as wanting and desire are deep-seated in your mind and in your sentiments, how can you ever be free? How can you ever be victorious? How can you ever achieve freedom? Because no matter what you fight for, it's a struggle. That's why it's called a fight. It's a struggle. If something comes for free, you don't have to fight for it. You have to fight for something because there's another party who won the opposite thing. That's when you have a battle, right? There's another party who won the opposite thing. So you have to fight for something. Now, it's the survival of the fittest. That's how it works. That's how it works in the wild, and it's not very different when it comes to humans either. It's survival of the fittest. And that fitness can be in various means. It could be knowledge, it could be having a good gob, right? So to be able to speak, influence people. It could be the amount of wealth you have, Could be how powerful you are, how rich you are, how wealthy you are, how prosperous you are, all of these things, how young you are, how vibrant you are, youth, right? All these things. So it's the survival of the fittest. But the thing is, no matter what battle you pick to fight, ultimately, for as long as you have wanting and desire and longing in your heart and in your mind, you're not free. You know, I can tease you, I can hurt you, and you let me do so. Name one thing you like. In fact, anything you like, keep it a secret from me. Why? Because I can hurt you. If there's anything that you like, if there's anything that you want, if there's anything you desire, you let me hurt you. You have just given me enough knowledge to hurt you, to bring you suffering. If it's your child that you love, that you like, that you want, that's all I need to know. Why do children get kidnapped? More than half the time, the only reason is because they demand a ransom after that. So how does that work then? Take something from someone that they want, that they like, and demand something that you want, and now they just exchange goods, right? And the world is back in peace. Isn't that how it works? So then, is it not dangerous to hold your child's hand in your hand and walk on the streets and show the whole world that you are so deeply in love with your child? Because you know there's someone looking at you. And if they just saw you getting out your flashy new BMW, they know you're loaded. And they know that you love your child. So they know that's the pain point. Your want point is your pain point. Now all I need to do is to get hands on your BMW is simply take away your child. And demand. You want your child? Give me your car. You want your child? Give me $1 million. How many times have kids being kidnapped? And ransoms being demanded? I mean, it's not just kids, whatever you want. How many times have computer systems been hijacked? Right? And file systems been encrypted? And then ransoms being charged. They won't decrypt your files until you pay the ransom. Why? Because there are things you want. See, how can you be free? Do you not live in constant fear? Think about it. You know, you fight for your freedom, but do you not live in constant fear? All I have to say is one word, and fear will creep into your mind. Shall we try it out? Home. What you just sensed there, that's fear. How come? What if? I had some rowdy guys out there last night. Not sure what they were up to. I locked the door, yes. But the back door? Not sure. See, all I have to say is one word. Your son. Your little daughter. Your husband. Your car. Fear. An enemy could take it away. Death could take it away. I say mother, what comes to mind? Fear. Did I not tell you yesterday? So my mother's down. So she's come down as an emergency. I only got to know, I think, day before yesterday. My father passed a message that my mother had come down, and that's because my grandmother, she had got a stroke. So she was taken to hospital, and then I think she has been discharged. But now if my mother were here right now and I say the word mother, what do you think comes to her mind? Fear. Why? Want. I want my mother. I want her to be alive. I want her to be okay. I want her to be well. So all I have to say is mother. And she's dreading. So shall we find out some of the things you dread? Oh, is that let's not talk about that kind of stuff, right? Okay, let's talk about some of the things you want then. So we can talk about the lovely stuff. Let's not talk about the miserable stuff. Because we all like to talk about the things we want, right? The things we desire, the things we enjoy. What are some of the things you enjoy? Good food? Do you enjoy good food? Good food? When I say good food, does fear not come into your mind? How's that? Isn't you tasting good food conditional? Is it not a multitude of conditions which have enabled you today to taste food? What if I took away your sense of taste? You can't do that to me, Swami. No, so you're there, I'm here. How can you take? Why can you do that? No, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about me. All you need is a stroke. That can take away your sense of taste. All you need is tongue cancer. Do they have tongue cancer? I don't know. Do they have tongue cancer? Yeah? Tongue cancer. That will take away your sense of taste. Put your hand up if you know you don't have a cancer. For sure. Really? Or you've just not been diagnosed yet. When was the last time someone found out they got cancer a moment before they got it? No, that's not how it works. By the time you find out, you've had it. You've had it for a good while. At least a few months. So what that means is, you don't know you have cancer yet, not you don't have cancer yet. You just don't know you have it. That's all it is. So what should you do tonight? Get yourself checked up, right? So what about tomorrow then? Get yourself checked up, and then the day after, get yourself checked up, and then the day after that, get yourself checked up. So keep checking yourself up every day. What? To check if you've got cancer. Now if you have to find yourself doing that, what? Getting yourself checked up, well, guess what? You messed up. Because that's not what you ought to do. These are inevitable things that are coming your way. If you don't have a back pain yet, it's coming. You don't have it yet, Buddha, do you? Back pain? No, it's coming though. Just wait. You don't have a brain tumor? Wait. It's coming. Ask the guy who got a brain tumor. Did you see it coming? No, I didn't see it coming. Well, you don't see it coming, do you? He was just like you. Only last month. This month, he found out he got brain tumor. So the difference between he and you is what? 1 month. Time's a good healer, isn't it? Time's a healer, and time moves on. Time don't wait for anyone. You think time's a healer? I don't know a more dangerous killer than time. Time's a killer. And that's why people say, leave it to time. Time will sort it out. Yeah, sure, time will sort it out. Because when you're dead, you don't have the problem anymore. This is so true. Time will sort it out. Leave it to time. Yeah, absolutely. Leave it to time. So no matter what problem you have today, what should you do? Leave it to time. Are you worried, madam, that you won't be able to pay off your mortgage? Don't worry. Leave it to time. In another 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time, you won't have that problem. Leave it to time. Right, that's correct, isn't it? Leave it to time. We have become hopeless. When there's so much in our power, when there's so much we can do to empower ourselves, we have allowed ourselves to become hopeless. We have allowed ourselves to become destitute. And that's shameful. When there's so much we can do to empower ourselves. People take their lives, folks. People take their lives because they don't realize how much potential they have. You know, you're not like seagulls. They fly south every year. What if south don't look so good? Now what do? Really? No, they still fly south. Because that's the way it's programmed. That's just nature. They've got to go by instinct, which is simply another word for vipaka. That's all pre-programmed for them. But you and I are not like that. If south don't look too good, we can fly north. We can go west, we can go east. We can simply not go anywhere. We can be here. We have got the power to do things. We can change our future. What you do today will decide what you're going to be tomorrow. You can do something with your lives. So if you're not proud about how the last 5 years crept by, well, guess what? You can change the next 5. You can change today. If you know now that you have spent a great part of your life, virtually all of it, trying to fix the wrong problem, well, you can change it now. When's it too late to start? When is it too late to start? It's never too late to start. Of course, when you're dead. Unless, of course, you're dead, it's never too late to start. If you're dying tomorrow, can you not start today? Of course you can. Of course you can. We have, this is how I say, the human race is a funny race, right? We have come to accept that the path of least resistance is the best path. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be the path of least resistance. We don't have to succumb to what life throws at you. You can do something with your life. You can change direction. You can make a move. You don't have to wait until someone comes and does something to you. Because if you don't have a plan, you're going to fall into someone else's plan. That's how it works. You're always on a plan. It's either your plan or someone else's plan. You're always on a plan. If I ask you, do you have a plan? Or are you on a plan? Of course you're on a plan. The only difference is whether it's yours or someone else's. Tomorrow doesn't have to be like today. The next year doesn't have to be like this year. You can change. You can do things. You can change your direction by changing your philosophy, your attitudes, how you approach life. You are so gifted. You are blessed with intellect, with the power to act, with the ability to do things with your life, with the ability to change direction, with the ability to choose. So don't always go down the path of least resistance. Don't always go down the path of least resistance. Do you remember I've always told you, when the student is ready, the teacher appears? I've told you this several times. Yesterday, as I was doing some walking meditation, actually no, this morning, thought came to mind. This idea that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's true in many ways. For instance, people come up to me a lot of time and ask me, I know people do this, not just with me, but with lots of people they believe are people who are in some kind of authority or are able to instruct them on nirvana. They ask them, Swaminatha, what is it I must do to attain Nibbana? Okay, so I understand your teaching, I understand the Dhamma, but what is it that I must do now? And then you will know from our conversations that oftentimes I will say, just be in the present moment. Reflect on what's going on. Look at the world, look at life with insight, with wisdom, and contemplate on the truth of what's going on right now. That is all you need to do to attain nirvana. Look at the truth of the present moment. So how am I connecting this with when the student is ready, the teacher appears? This is how. The teachers that you need to attain nirvana, they present themselves to you every day. You just don't see them. You need willpower, right, to fight this battle. You can't keep succumbing to your desires because the state of nirvana is where the mind is free of all desire, right? So by giving in to desire, every time desire comes into your mind, that's not going to take you any closer to nirvana because that's what you need to fight. How can you fight if your enemy is not in front of you? If you don't come face to face with your enemy, how can you fight your enemy? You can't fight your enemy that way. You need your enemy to be in front of you. You need to be in front of your enemy so you can fight your enemy. So therefore, to fight desire, you need to be confronted with desire. Now, if you find yourself in a situation, let's say at home, you walk up to your fridge, you open the door, you've only gone in for a drink of water. It's a hot day, it's a warm day, you need a cool drink of water. It's perfectly fine. But in the fridge is also leftover chocolate cake from dinner. Now there's a difference between needing and wanting. There's a difference. If you've done any business studies, you will know this. There's a difference between needing and wanting. Something you need is a requisite. You need it. You absolutely need it for survival, for your sustenance. You need it. But wanting is the problem, not needing. So you need food, but you want chocolate cake. Do you need chocolate cake? No, you need food. So you're at the fridge because you needed a glass of water or you needed to drink some cool water. That's why you opened the fridge. But now you see chocolate cake left over from last night. And do you need chocolate cake or do you want chocolate cake? You want chocolate cake. So guess what? Because you are ready, as a student, the teacher has just appeared in front of you. That chocolate cake, as staring at you right in the face, that's your teacher. How can you get to second grade from first grade if you don't sit the final exam? At the end of first grade, they give you a paper. You got to answer it, and you got to come up with marks. Oh, okay, let's say they don't have papers in first grade. Okay, from 9th grade to 10th grade, you're going to have to sit your final year exams. You're going to have to get good results, and then they give you a promotion to the 10th grade. Without passing the test, how are you going to get to the next class? You can't. You can't get from first year of uni to second year of uni without sitting your first year uni exams and passing them with good results. Well, likewise, you can't make progress in nirvana until you sit the exam paper. The exam paper is now staring right at you. What is the exam paper? The chocolate cake. If you want to get to the next grade, if you want to be presented with the next challenge, well, you've got to first get through this challenge. Because you know now that nirvana is the extinguishing of desire, aversion, and delusion. Well, you're not going to get to your next barrier, you're not going to get to the next obstacle until you have overcome this obstacle, well, which is staring at you right in the face. So this is a staring competition. You're staring at the chocolate cake is staring back at you. Ever done that at school? Staring contest? Who blinks first? So you're staring at the chocolate cake, and chocolate cake is staring right back at you. Let's see who blinks first. Well, you know who blinked first last time it happened. Yes. You blinked. In other words, you succumbed to your desires. That was the test paper. You just didn't know it. See, then you come and ask me, Swami, what must I do to attain Nibbana? Well, I put it in your fridge last night. Did you not see it? Oh, that one. Not only did I see it, I tasted it. It tasted so good. Yeah, you weren't meant to do that. You ate your chocolate, you ate your test paper. This is why I say, folks, your home is your lab. I want you to think of it that way. Right? You value my time, don't you? Do you? You value my time? Do you appreciate the fact that the time that I have dedicated towards my salvation, I come down here and I preach to you? Do you value that? And the time of Guru Swami Nuhanse? Excellent. Right, then believe me when I say this. I have rigged your home. So what do I mean by that? I have put various tests in your home. Some of them are in the refrigerator. Some in the fridge, some in the freezer. There's some in the cupboard. No, not that one, the one left of that. Where you put your chocolates. That one. Yes. Who put them there? I did. So you value my time? Do you? If you value my time, then I need you, I want you to pass the test. If you fail the test, then you have undermined my time. You have to pass the test, because I put the test paper there for you. If you consider me your teacher, then I have placed those tests in your home. I've set it up perfectly, just at the right moment, in the right places, and they'll creep up on you by surprise. So you head back home tonight, you open the fridge, and there'll be a test paper looking right at you. So now you can either sit the test and pass it, or you can fail it. When you are presented with these moments, folks, these are the moments that actually take you closer to Nirvana. I mean this very seriously. And I want you to take this very seriously. If you are serious about your salvation, these are the moments that you need to pass to get to the next grade. You can't graduate to the next grade until and unless you can win that staring contest. If you succumb to want, you have failed the test. Don't come asking me for another test paper. You failed the last one. Go and sit that again. No, you're going to have to do a retake. Don't put it for recorrection. No, the result is right. Don't put it for recorrection. You're going to have to retake the test. Because these are the moments that test your willpower. You need to have the power to overcome desire. Do you not? You need to have the power to overcome aversion. You need to have the power to overcome delusion. Delusion is a hard one to tackle, so let's leave it to aside for the time being. But aversion and desire, they're very obvious. They're very obvious. You know when you sense desire, do you not? Or are you new to that subject? Desire, what's that, Swaminas? I've never experienced that. No, you came into this world desiring, so you're not new to it. What about anger? Anyone here new to that sentiment of anger, the feeling of anger? Never experienced it? What's that? I'm new to that. I don't understand anger. Anyone? So we've all experienced that. It's nothing new to us. But these are the moments that test you. Right? And I really want you to take this in. If you are serious about nirvana, if you're serious about your salvation, you have to pass these tests. These are the tests that you have to pass to get to the next stage. So when chocolate cake is staring right at you, you're staring back at chocolate cake, that's a test. I put it there. Believe you me, I put it there. That bar of chocolate, I put it there. That pudding, I put it there. What about the TV? I put it there. What about your PlayStation? I put it there. I put it there. Santa can't beat me at this. You didn't even see me coming in, did you? No, Santa can't beat me at this. I'm better than Santa. Because I put them there. And the perfume on your dressing table, I put them there. I put them there because these are the tests that you have to pass. So what do I mean by these are the tests that you have to pass? Do you not use them anymore? No, please do. Don't come here without using scent bottles. I won't be able to breathe. No, use them. But you have to pass a test before you use it. You got to ask yourself, is that a particular smell that I like? Why is that? Why is it this particular smell? Right, for each of you, I've changed the test ever so slightly because I know exactly what you like. See how much trouble I take on your behalf. The bottle of perfume on your dressing table, madam, is not the same bottle of perfume as on this lady's dressing table because I know exactly what you like. So I took all the trouble to go to the perfume shop and buy exactly the one you like because that's the test you have to pass. I've written up individual test papers for all of you. So, open the fridge. There is a chocolate cake staring at you. So it's a staring contest. Who wins? Ask yourself this question. Do I need or do I want? If you need it, that's because you're hungry. Fine, go for it. If you want it, still, it's okay, go for it. But you need to know that it's because you want it. You need to know that if you're eating it because you want to eat it, you have failed the test. Having accepted defeat, eat it. Because I don't want you to feel delighted when you eat that chocolate cake. I want you to feel ashamed. I want you to feel ashamed when you sit in front of your PS4. I want you to feel disgusted with yourself when you put in an extra teaspoonful of sugar. I want you to feel disgusted with yourself about that. If you can't have your coffee without sugar, if you can't have your tea without sugar, folks, I want you to feel disgusted about it. Because there's no such thing as a yummy taste. There's no such thing as a delicious taste. There's no such thing as a good taste. There is taste, not good taste, because you know that's very subjective. Not very subjective, it's completely subjective. It's simply the mind fooling itself. Beauty is nothing but the mind fooling itself. A melodious sound, melodious is not simply the mind fooling itself. Sweet smell, that's simply the mind fooling itself. In other words, you have been defeated. Bhante 1, you 0. Keep score. Bring it around next week. I want to see. I can guess who's going to win. But hey, that's my challenge to you. If you're telling me you appreciate my time and you value my time and you're respectful about the fact that I give you my time, well, let's play this game. Let's play this game. Accepting defeat, have your chocolate cake. No, you're not going to sit on your sofa and have your chocolate cake like a king or a queen. You're going to have it like a wounded soldier. Actually, they don't call them soldiers anymore. As a patient. No, you should be. That's how you ought to feel. Only yesterday, one of our young monks, he came to me and said, Swaminatha, can I speak to you? I said, sure, let's go talk. He said, Swaminatha, I did something wrong. So what was it? So he said, just the other day, he'd come down to this room, and apparently there had been a box of, there was some biscuits, a packet of biscuits in one of those boxes or somewhere. Someone might have offered that. He said it was sometime in the morning, so they were supposed to be doing something else, but he came down to collect something from the room, and he'd seen these biscuits. And he said, I couldn't fight the temptation. So he said he sat down, opened the packet, and he had a couple of biscuits. So I asked him, Swaminatha, okay, how do you feel that this has happened? He said, it's wrong. I said, why do you feel it's wrong? He said, because I'm a monk, right? And I have done something that is not suitable for a monk. I should be more disciplined than that. He's only 9 or 10 years of age. But he's better than you. Trust me. To think that he did that and now he thinks he has to come and confess, how great that is. Your children would do the same, wouldn't they? Sneak in to the drawer, pick up a box of chocolates, half of it gone. Buddha, what happened to this half? The dog ate it. Yeah, how did he reach the box of chocolates up there? He jumped and he opened it and he took it and he ate it. We wouldn't have known the biscuits gone missing. But he came up and he confessed to me, Swaminatha, I did this. So I said, why do you think that was wrong? Because I'm a monk and what I did is not suitable for a monk. I said, okay. Any other reason? He said, well, that packet of biscuits was an offering made to the Mahasangha. It wasn't to me individually. So it's wrong that I took something that was offered to the Mahasangha. I feel like I have stolen from the Mahasangha. I said, correct. Correct? Right? There's nothing in this that is offered to the Mahasangha that we can use as an individual offering. If you have offered something to me individually and you say, Swaminatha, this is for your personal use, then I can use it. But if you offer it in any other way, it's an offering that is made to the Mahasangha, which goes all the way back to all the Supreme Buddhas in the past, to all the Supreme Buddhas in the future, and everyone in between. So I don't have a right to use what you offer on this table for my personal use, except with the consent of the Sangha. Unless you come and say, Swaminatha, this is for your personal use. Now don't make that a habit. I have enough, right, of everything, so you don't have to come and make any personal offerings. All I'm saying is, when I asked this monk, why did you feel bad about it? He said, I used something that was made as an offering to the Mahasangha. I shouldn't have done it. I said, correct. I said, why? What else? He said, I don't see any other reason. I said, okay, so if you were a lay person, would you have seen anything wrong with what you just did? What you did there? He said, as a lay person, no, that would have been okay, I think. What, taking something that wasn't given to you? No, actually that bit was wrong. But if I was a lay person, then that would have been okay. I said, no, Swaminatha, stop and think what you're saying. There's something else you need to see. You're a monk, yes, and you did something that is unsuitable for a monk, yes. You took a packet of biscuits which was not offered to you for your personal use, yes, they're both wrong, but you know that. But there's something else I need you to see here. And he said, yes, I realize it now. I said, what is that? I failed the test. He didn't know I had placed it there. He failed the test. And he said, Swaminatha, I see now how a packet of biscuits brought me down on my knees. I think I'm all this man, right? This grown up, so manly, so masculine, right? Strong, courageous, but in front of a packet of biscuits, I knelt down on my knees. He looked down and he said, I feel so ashamed of myself now. I said, sadhu, sadhu. I said, how great of you, Swaminatha. How great of you. You realize your error. The two things that you said before, I could just instruct you and you wouldn't do it again. But what you just talked to me now, that must come through self-realization. And sadhu, sadhu. I applauded him for having realized that. So I pulled him up close, gave him a hug and said, well done you. Next time, will you promise me, will you promise yourself that you will not fail this test? Don't let a packet of biscuits bring you down on your knees, Swaminatha. Have the willpower, have the courage, have the strength, have the dedication and the commitment to your cause. Don't let a packet of biscuits make you a dog. Because I asked him what happened when there was a packet of biscuits, because apparently he'd come in once to the library, he'd seen it, and he'd walked away. First time round, he had enough willpower. So how come you came back a second time? He said, oh, I remember now, Swami. So in one of your sermons you said how the packet of biscuits summoned me back to the library. And how did it do so? He said, the packet of biscuits said, Inju, 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 Inju. But how great of him, one, to have confessed, and two, to have realized the real problem. He said, I now know that me wanting it, that was the problem. I desired the packet of biscuits. I desired it, that was the problem. 9 years of age. Do you not see someone victorious? Do you not see real courage? Do you not see strength of character? I didn't know who had done it, but he came up to me, he confessed. No one had seen him. No one had seen who had done it. He came and confessed. Wow. Now that's impressive. I was very proud of him. And children, I want you all to be the same. Take an example from that young monk. I want you to all to be like that with your parents. If ever you make a mistake, ever you do something wrong, the great thing to do is to go and make that confession. It's only a great man who can do that. Everyone makes mistakes. It's human to make mistakes, is it not? It's human to make mistakes. But to go and confess it? Now that demands character. That demands integrity. That demands courage. That demands willpower. Can you imagine what must have gone through his mind? Not when he did the act, but walking up to me. How many times might he have debated in his mind, should I not? Should I not? Will I do it or won't I do it? No, I'm going to look terrible in front of him when I say it out loud. I'm going to make a fool out of myself to walk up to him and say I did this. Can you imagine all those emotions that might have gone through his mind? Because you've all experienced this. When you did something wrong, right? And then you had to go and confess, right? But at least you had the maturity of age. This young monk, 9 years of age. Can you imagine the war that must have gone in his mind? The battle of the forces, evil and good fighting each other. That would have been a war zone. But you know what? He won. Now that is what needs to be celebrated. So when your children come up to you, folks, this is why I always speak to parents and I say, let your children walk up to you. Help them. Help them make that walk of shame up to you. Help them to confess in front of you. Never make them feel bad about it. Help them see the errors in their ways. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Show them what's wrong. What you did was wrong. But tell me why you think it's wrong. But have a mature conversation with them. I didn't shout at him. Not once did I raise my voice, because that would have been so immature. How childish would that have been for me to raise my voice and admonish that young monk with what he'd done, so mature, right? If I had raised my voice, I would have been so immature. So as parents, keep that avenue open. Keep it free. Allow your children, enable your children to walk up to you, because if they don't come up to you, they're going to go somewhere else. Because that feeling of guilt, folks, you can't live with it. They're going to confess with someone. And the best chance they have of confessing their errors and rectifying themselves is with you. And if you don't give them that opportunity, they're probably going to do it with their schoolmate. And he's probably going to celebrate. They're going to celebrate the fact that you had wronged. Whereas if you allow your child to come and speak to you, you're going to celebrate the fact that he has come to confess. That's the lesson you need to give your children. I was so proud of him yesterday. So I thought I should share his story with you. And I want you all to be able to do that, because he realized, folks, where the problem is. He realized that wanting is the problem. Desiring is the problem. Because he knows, right? We can give. I said, Swaminatha, come back next time and tell me, I no longer desire biscuit. I no longer desire any of these foods. If you can come and say that to me, I'll bring you a lorry full of biscuits. You can eat all of it. I'll bring you a lorry full. You can eat all of it. I'll bring you a container of biscuits. Eat all of it. The day you can come up to me and say, I no longer want it. Because you want something, you failed. So in your home, in your household, I have placed tests strategically, right? I've also planted CCTV cameras, so I'll know what you're up to. Did you know I can read minds now? I'm just kidding. But when I ask you a question, that's good enough. I can read your mind then. How can I read your mind? You'll either look at me like this when I ask you a question, or you will look where? Look down. That's why they say your face is the mirror to your heart. Because you can't look at me straight in the face and lie to me. That much I know. Because you're good like that. You wouldn't look at a Swamin once in his face and lie to him. You're good like that. That's great. So when you have that chocolate cake, when you sit in front of the TV and you want to watch a movie, right? Not because you have to. It's okay if you have to. When you're at home, it's family time. We had family time on the timetable last week, didn't we? Family time in the timetable. Timetable. Question time. Did you make a timetable? Did you prepare a timetable? Shall I ask a question? Shall I get you all to put your hands up if you've made the timetable? I even prepared a template for you. You don't have to answer me, I know the answer looking at your faces. I'm scanning your faces. Did you make the timetable? Okay, I got the answers. Thank you. Well done those of you who did. Shame on you, those of you who didn't. So when you're sitting in front of that TV, family time, and you have to watch TV, that's fine. Because now you're needing to watch TV, not wanting to watch TV. I need to. Why? Because if you don't, there's going to be family problems. We don't need family problems. So sit in front of the TV, watch TV. But if you got some spare time, what can I do now? And if there's a staring contest between you and the television, TV is looking at you, you're looking at the TV. TV is looking back at you, you're looking at the TV. So it's a staring contest, who's going to win? I can't remember the last time the TV blinked. Now if you want to watch TV, it's okay, go ahead, watch. Sit down, pick up that remote in your hand, switch on the power button. But I want you to watch TV knowing that you have been defeated. I want you to watch TV ashamed of yourself. I want you to watch TV disgusted with yourself. If you still want to watch TV, you're a failure. Does that mean you're never going to win? No, that's not what it means. It means you're still failing at that particular obstacle. It means that's the obstacle you need to overcome. You need to win it. That's what you need to work on. That's where your willpower is still not quite there yet. You need to work on it. Those who came to the meditation program last week, I gave some advice. I'll share that with you. These moments, your willpower, your courage, your strength, and the right effort, which is all part of the Noble Eightfold Path. The effort with which you need to fight your evils, you need to fight your defilements, your cankers in your mind, that effort is an energy. It's a power that needs to be worked on. It's like a muscle that you need to work on. Go to the gym, do your weights, right? It's a muscle you need to work on. As you work on it, it increases, it improves. You can do more than you can do today if you work on it. So how do you work on it? Chocolate cake in front of you, staring contest. This is round 1. Ding, 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 round 1. Okay? Staring contest. If at this moment in time you ask yourself the question, do I need it or do I want it? You have to be of clear mind to be able to answer this question, otherwise you will fool yourself. Have you never had that? You fool yourself. You come up with excuse like, oh, the expiry date is today, so I better have it. Or my mother baked it for me. It would be rude to throw it in the bin. That'd be so rude. There's people dying without food. I should not throw it in this bin. I should eat it. So you have graduated your stomach to a rubbish bin. Because you can't throw it in the bin, you flush it down the toilet via your stomach. That's what you're saying, right? I won't throw it straight out. I'll throw it out, but through me. Ultimately, that's what you're doing. So round 1, staring contest, right? Do I need it? Do I want it? If you don't need it, and you know you want it, I say it's okay, go ahead. As long as it's not one of those unmeritorious deeds. Right? I've never said anything that is not an unmeritorious deed, I have never forbidden you from doing it. And neither did the Buddha. If what you're doing is not killing, if what you're doing is not stealing, if what you're doing is not engaging in sensual or in a worldly sense sexual misconduct, if what you're doing is not lying or backstabbing or slandering or harsh speech, right? Go ahead, do it. It's okay. But as you do it, I want you to think. I want you to feel ashamed. I want you to feel ashamed. I want you to know that you have failed. So as you serve a slice of that on a saucer or a plate, come and sit down by the sofa, right? Bring your fork and start digging into it. I almost wish that tears would start dropping out of your eyes. Feeling so sad, feeling so terrible, feeling so ashamed of yourself. That's how I want you to enjoy this cake. Because until you want, you are in prison. You are not free. You are still imprisoned. Until you want to eat that cake, you are imprisoned. One of the cuffs is on your wrist or on your tongue. The other cuff is on the cake. Picture it. Now you're good at visualizations, right? Picture it. and the cups go cling, cling. One on the cake, one on your tongue. You walk in front of the TV and the cups go cling, cling. One on the TV, one on your eyes. Cuffs. Are you not in prison? You want to watch TV? I want you to feel this, folks. I really want you to. I want you to live this. Because that's when you're going to start to feel ashamed about these attachments that you have. Because for as long as you have these attachments, you ain't going anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere. You're bound to samsara. You're bound to existence. And along with existence comes birth, and along with birth comes what? Death, disease, decay, fear, war, loss, lamentation, grief and sorrow and pain. So how can you call yourself free? You're not free. I want you to picture it. Just imagine it. Next time you walk in front of the TV, next time you turn on your FM, now you're tuning it because you have to listen to something, okay? But you, or by accident, you tune it to some FM and you're hearing some music on it now. That's not why you switched on the radio, but now you're listening to it. This sounds so harmless, right? So innocent. All you're doing is listen to the FM. So what's so wrong with that? It's just a song. It's just an oldie. So what's so wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is you still want to listen to it. In other words, you're still vexing. You're sensing pleasure. You're being relieved from your vexation. That is what's wrong with it. In other words, every time you experience joy, every time you experience pleasure, you know you're suffering. Those who came to the meditation program, another activity we did, I said, in your minds, walk home. Right? Go home, leave your bodies here, take your mind home. Take your mind home and now open your door and walk into your living room. Right? Now observe all the things that you have in your living room. You can do it right now. Observe all the things you have in your living room, in your mental eye, in your mind's eye. Right? That lovely vase. That's on the fireplace, if you have a fireplace. All those lovely ornaments you have in your showcase. The matching cushions and the curtains, the matching curtains. That soft feel carpet, that lush carpet under your toes. Feels so good, doesn't it? You almost wish you were home right now. And that another flower vase on the teapot with that potpourri. Lovely. You know what all those things are saying out loud to you? Did you think why that vase came in to your living room? What's the story? Not asking about the story of Balamori. I'm asking about the story behind the vase. How did the vase come there? Why did the vase come there? You wanted it. Because you wanted it, you started vexing for it. You saw it somewhere, or a friend told you about it, right? There's this lovely vase. You're just taking a walk. You go into this bric-a-brac shop, right? And they have a vase in there, lovely thing, right? Oh, I know the best place for this. Not here. Where? At home, on the teapot. So, you started vexing, paid for it, took it home, put it on the teapot, and now you're relieved of your vexation. Is it not beautiful, that flower vase you have at home? Is it not? What is it crying out loud to you? I am evidence that you are vexing. Some of you may have an aquarium at home. A small fish tank. What do they have in it? Goldfish? What else do you have? Jellyfish? What is that aquarium evidence of? I'm asking the long question. You all you have to do is give me the short answer. What is it evidence of? Your vexation. Each fish in that tank, what is it evidence of? Your vexation. Why did it come in there? Why did you bring it? To relieve yourself of vexation. You feel good about it, right? You feel good when you watch the fish. What about that grandfather's clock? You paid a fair penny for it, didn't you? From the antique shop? Oh. Or what about the grand piano? Why did that come there? Because they had nowhere else to put it? No. Every time you play your piano, every note you hear as each of your fingers press down on the keys, that is proof and evidence that you are vexing. So is that a song of joy that you're playing? That music that you hear, it may be music to your ears, but it's a cry of pain that comes from the bottom of your heart. It's the sound of your heart lamenting. It's the sound of your mind grieving. So play it. It's okay, play it. But knowing that you are defeated. Ashamed of yourself, play it. Disgusted with yourself, play it. And once you're done with the piano, pick up your guitar. I used to have a guitar. Pick it up. Take the plug, start plucking it. How much did you pay for it? As much as was needed to relieve you of vexation. Now if you were to add up all of the items and the cost of all the items at home, is that the total of your vexation put into monetary terms? No, it's not. It's the total of how much you can afford to spend to relieve yourself of vexation. There are a million other things. Oh, what a pity, I just can't afford it. Which is also another vexation. This is why I didn't say go up to the helipad. The only reason you don't have one is because you can't afford one. That's all. Or else you'd have it. So where's the end? Where's the limit? Is the sky the limit? No, they haven't stopped at the skies. Now they're roaming the solar system. Apparently a bunch of scientists in Sri Lanka have now discovered 2 more planets. That's great news, isn't it? Let's celebrate. Freedom fighters. They probably named it after themselves. They just don't realize they're all still imprisoned. If I were to ask you, knowing what you know now about how I think about all those things you have in your home, right, in your living room, all those lovely ornaments that you have, that fish tank, right, and as you walk in, the pet cat comes running, right, and your pet parrot in your cage, and the pet iguana. Do you have pet iguana? What do you have? Pet hamster? Pet rabbit? Pet dog? What are all these evidence of? Vexation. Right? Knowing how I think about all of these things that you possess now, who here wants to invite me into their home? Because if you invite me right now into your home, you can't go and change things. You got to leave it just as they are. Right? As I walk into your home and I see your 65-inch television, what do you think I'm going to think? I'm going to be so impressed, aren't I? You are so successful, aren't you, madam? You got a big TV. But weren't these things that we use, weren't these objects we use to show our success? Weren't we so proud to have and possessed all of these things? You know, when we had a friend walk into our home, did we not go showing all these things out? You know, hey, come here, Annie, look at this. You know, Mia, I found this in this antique shop. I found it for a really good price. I was so lucky to find this. Do you see how the color matches with the rest of it? Would you walk me into your home and say the same thing? Knowing how I feel now about those things. You know, I used to live a life like that. I'll be the first to admit. But this is why I say I feel disgusted about the life I used to live. All those things I acquired because I desired them. And my desire was so strong that I worked hard, 9 to 5, to earn not a living really. But if that was what earning a living was, then my life has simply been an exercise of relieving myself of vexation. Now, why do people work overtime? Why do people work weekends? To earn enough money so that they can relieve themselves of vexation. Because ultimately, if you have those 4 requisites, right? Shelter, food, clothing, and medication. Really, if I ask you, what else do you need? Your answer should be nothing. Your answer should be nothing. But if you still have things as answers, and you're still justifying those things, I'm not talking about fulfilling duties and responsibilities, right? I have children, so therefore, I have to give them a good education, right? I get that. Until your children decide that they also want to go on this journey, yes, of course, you gotta educate your children because you brought them into this world. I get that. But actually, 9 times out of 10, people suffer unnecessarily. People suffer unnecessarily. There is no reason, there's no need to suffer so much. I'm not even talking about Nibbanic bliss. I'm talking simply about just being content in a worldly sense. I'm not talking about extinguishing desire. If only you could quell your desire to some extent, life would be so much easier. You can stop working weekends. You can be at home with your family. And that's why you brought home a family, right? To be with them. Or was it to leave them and then go work? So you can spend more time at work. Well, you could have done that without them being home. Why did you bring children into this world? Was it not to be with them? But what have you been doing ever since they came into this world? Spending time at work so you could earn enough money to feed them, clothe them, give them shelter. And then over and above that, to give them a wonderful lifestyle. In other words, teaching them that it's okay to want things and then giving them everything that they want. Wanting is the problem. Desire is the problem. Because it's non-stop. There's no end to it. I kept telling my mother, bring Achiyamma to the temple so I can talk to her at least. And she said, yeah, eventually I'll bring her, don't rush. Now they need to give her physiotherapy to teach her how to walk again. How sad. To this day, she still wants to see things. She wants to hear things. Why does she need to walk on her? Why does she need to be taught to walk again? So she can get around. Why? So she can acquire what she desires. When she could walk was when she should have come here. So I could have taught her. Achi, wanting is the problem. Desire is the problem. Work on that. You don't need to go anywhere for that. Just be in one place. Listen to the sermons and practice. Yeah. What happened to my grandmother is going to come to all of you. And I'm using her as evidence. I'm not ashamed to talk about what happened to her, because I want to use her to show you that it's coming. So I asked my mother then, what are you waiting for? How often do I tell them, leave everything you've done enough now, you worked hard enough now, right? Come back. Come and locate yourself close to the monastery. And I'll help you. Like you helped me stand up on my 2 feet. I'll help you. But you see, the problem is, you don't realize it until it's too late. Such a pity. That's why I say the human race is a funny one. Animals, they gather. In the summer, they gather. And they save up for the winter. But we don't seem to act like that. We wait until it's the winter. And then you try to step outside. Oh, it's too cold. I can't go out now. Can someone bring it to me? Do they have takeaway? No, sir, we've gone to a takeaway culture. Because we don't do what we can do when we can still do it. I want you to ask yourselves, have you got your priorities right? Before it's too late. Because one day, as I say, either through inspiration or through desperation, you will change. I'm trying to inspire you now to change. If you're not inspired, then wait until you get the bill for not trying. If you think it's going to cost too much to try, then wait until you get the bill for not trying. That's going to be one hefty bill. The cost of not trying far exceeds the cost of trying. Not everyone's here today. Not everyone wants to be here today. Some people will say, well, there's too many hours on a Sunday evening. There's lots of other things we could be doing. I'm not having a go at anyone, by the way. I'm just saying this is how people think. Why? Because they still can. They're waiting for the tea. What? At the end of the can. When they can't, that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the tea. You waiting for your tea? People are waiting for their tea. It's too many hours in the week. that we have to put towards nirvana? That's too many hours. I can't afford that. Wednesday, Saturday, now Sunday. Jeez. We haven't got that many hours to spare. That's the problem. That last word, spare. So nirvana is like a spare wheel. It's nice to have one, just in case. Just in case, it's nice to have one. A spare wheel. You know, if you're serious about nirvana, folks, your spare wheel will be everything else. You'll start running on 4 wheels. You need to be 4-wheel driven. You need to be on 4-wheel drive to nirvana. What are the 4 wheels? The 4 noble truths. That should be your living, breathing energy. The 4 noble truths. That's why they call it the siura. The robe? Siura. Siura. The 4 noble truths on the shoulders. Ura is what? The shoulders. Siu is 4. The 4 noble truths on our shoulders. That becomes the purpose of our lives. I know you lead lay lives, and I know there are duties and responsibilities that come with that, but what I'm saying is, those excuses don't stand at the end. When the ultimate test is in front of you, now you can't say when you go blind, hey, don't make me blind, I did all my duties and responsibilities, I shouldn't go blind. I need you to not want to see before you go blind. That's where I want you to be. Not want to see before you go blind. Going blind will come. But I want not wanting to see to come before that. Or you think my grandmother doesn't want to see? You think, last time my mother came down, they had to take her to get a cataract surgery. She was almost going blind. Or you think she doesn't want to see anymore? Well, then why did they take her for the surgery? I'm using my members of my lay family to bring this to life for you folks, because this is coming to all of you. You need to put out the fire of desire before it's too late. Before desperation kicks in, you need to work on this. For as long as you expect pleasure to be a worldly giving, a worldly offering, a worldly gift, you will still want to see. This is why we always talk to you about anicca, dukkha and anatta. You know, impermanence doesn't cut it. That's why we don't spend a lot of time talking about impermanence. You need to understand the unsatisfactoriness. Worldly objects cannot satisfy your desires, because what you expect cannot be found in them. Lovely flower decor, right? What do you think? Lovely flower decor? Are you stuck? Do I say yes or no? I wonder who did it. No, if you find them lovely, then say so, it's okay. But be ashamed of yourself. I'll admit, they look lovely. Because unlike you, I'm ready to accept. I'm okay with accepting that I'm defeated, because now I can work on it. I'm ashamed that I find this lovely. I find it disgusting that I can still see beauty in the world. I'm disgusted that I can see beauty in something where beauty does not exist. So this is a mirage. A mirage is something that does not exist, but it apparently seems that it's there. That's what beauty is. Seeing something that does not exist. That's a phantom. A phantom. You know the Phantom of the Opera, right? This is also a phantom. If you can see beauty in these flowers, in this flower decoration, if you can see beauty in a girl, if you can see beauty in a boy, beauty in a picture, beauty in the sunset, beauty in the sunrise, beauty in the birds and the bees, and flora and fauna, then you should be ashamed of yourself, because you are still in prison. You are still in prison. Because I can still hurt you. Ha 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 ha. I can hurt you. Are you okay with the fact that I can hurt you? Enemies only exist in the outside world for those who have enemies on the inside. Raga, dvesha, moha, these are your enemies. Vexation, that is your enemy. Wanting, desire, this is your enemy. For as long as the enemy exists within, there are enemies on the outside. Kill the enemy within. Destroy the enemy within. Become victorious within. And there will not be any enemies on the outside. Become untouchable. Become invincible. You can. All you have to do is stop wanting, stop desire. And for as long as you find the world pleasurable and joyful and essence-full, you will want a part of the world. And then you will want to become an owner. That's why owner kena becomes owner kena. Right? What is owner kena? In Sinhala. One who wants becomes what? Owner kena. An owner is someone who possesses, right? So that's how owner kena becomes owner kena. And you thought these words have no origin. No, of course they do. So this is why I say, in your mental, as you go back home tonight, folks, I want you to do this. As you see your car parked up in the garage, right? Or maybe you parked it at Jethavanarama. As you get off the bus, walk to your car, check the badge on the car. Why was it that particular brand? Why? That is evidence that you're vexing. Now be ashamed as you open the door. If it's keyless entry, be extra ashamed. These are extra options, right? If you have heated seats, be a little bit extra ashamed. All of these vexations. Yeah, I know you're saying, well, I know you're thinking, someone else, but these are physical. These are physical vexations. Don't you talk about physical vexations. No, but do you know why you're physically vexing now? Because you have a body. Why do you have a body? Because you need something to house. This is your housing. Your phones, they have housing, right? This is your housing. Housing for what? Your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and your sensations. The organ of sensation. Physical sensation. So why did you get them in the first place? Desire. Because you desired sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. If you go a step further, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. So now should you not be ashamed that you need heated seats? Should you not be ashamed that you needed leather seats? All of those options that you have in your car? Examine each and every one of them, contemplate, and find their story. Because they will tell you. Whose story? your story. They will tell you your story. If you want to know about yourself, look at the things that you own. Because you are now an owner kenna. Because you were an owner kenna. All the things you possess speak volumes about the person you are, about the vexations that you have had built up in your mind, the vexations that you worked on relieving, and the vexations that you are now presented with and gifted with. Why do I say that? The moment you brought home that possession, now who becomes the security guard? You do. Now you got to look after it, you got to take care of it, right? You got to protect it. Why do you take out insurance plans? Is it not to work on your fear? Is it not as a device to relieve yourself of fear of loss? So did that fix the problem? No, you got yourself a brand new car, and then because you had the fear of getting into an accident and then your car being a complete write-off, you got yourself an insurance. So now you're relieved of vexation. Or are you? No, it's just transferred. Because now your fear is, will they pay out? Who here does not fear that the insurance plan will pay out? Some people take insurance plans to insure insurance plans. Just think about it. The fact that there are insurance plans to insure insurance plans. I mean, are you serious? Isn't life a joke? What a bunch of jokers we have become. Every fancy thing that comes out, we seem to be accepting of it. Every fad that comes out, you just think, oh, I'll get it, yeah, whatever. That's why I think on Wednesday I said, cover up your nudity. Cover up your nudity. What is your nudity? Laying bare what? Ignorance and attachment. Because when the world sees your nudity, you know what they want to do to you? They want to abuse you. There's a better word for it. I don't want you to faint, so I won't say it. It starts with R. When the world sees your nudity, they want to rape you. So cover up your nudity. Your nudity is your ignorance and attachment. When the world sees your ignorance and attachment, they'll keep just throwing these various indoctrinations at you. That this world is pleasurable. All these commercials. And have we not thought about why they call them commercials? I mean, it says on the tin, it's a commercial. So what is its purpose? It's a commercial. What is its purpose? Oh, there you go. And commercial comes from the word commerce. What is commerce? Well, it's making money. In really simple terms, making money. This is why I say, when I look back at my life, my old life, folks, I just feel so disgusted. This is what we spoke about last week, do you remember? Right? They show you the commercials for free. Seriously? You think they're for free? Don't making commercials cost something for the company? It costs the company an arm and a leg. Now they got to find the money to pay the people for the ads. So where do you get that money from? From you, the consumer. So how did they want you to buy the product? By showing you the commercial. Who paid for the commercial? You paid for the commercial. So in other words, you paid for them to make you want to buy it. So it's like going up to a shop and saying, hey mister, I've got some money, I'm going to give it to you. Now, make me want to buy everything in your store. He's going to ask you, but then I have nothing to do. Isn't it? I mean, he's gonna, what's there for me to do then? You're paying me to vex you, and then you'll also pay me to relieve you of vexation? Let's all get into business. This is why I say, for as long as you want things, for as long as you desire, for as long as longing, wanting, yearning lay deep-seated in your mind, folks, your nudity is on display. And every man and his dog out there is just waiting for an opportunity to rape you. Cover yourselves up. Shameful. Looks disgusting. Cover up your nudity because it looks disgusting. Be intelligent about what I'm saying. You know I don't mean this in the literal sense, right? With some common sense and wisdom, understand what it is I'm trying to explain to you here. Cover up your nudity because every man and his dog out there wants to rape you. Because all they're saying is, oh, here's someone I can make some money out of. You are an object. People have objectified you. You're an object of pleasure to them, a source of pleasure. And I've got nothing against people out there. As I say, I didn't say get them to stop raping. I didn't say throw the rapists into the cells, into the prisons. No. Let the rapists be out there. Let them be out there. You cover up your nudity. That is what becoming a Sotapanna is. Rectifying your view. Beginning to look at the world in the right way. Having the right perspective. Throwing out the old, bringing in the right perspective. Because for as long as you are able to be indoctrinated, for as long as you are gullible, for as long as you are naive, people can come and indoctrinate you. These are the Asat Purushas. You know how severe this is? I think we talked about this on Sunday, last week. If the light bulb becomes extinct, then all you need is Alva Edison to come back and reinvent it. If the phone becomes extinct, all you need is Mr. Bell to come back and reinvent it. But if you ever become indoctrinated that this world is pleasurable, now you need a Supreme Buddha to come back and rectify your view. No one else can do that. Jesus Christ can't do it. Prophet Muhammad cannot do it. Lord Shiva cannot do it. No one can do it. Because that is not their teaching. Only the Buddha teaches us that existence anywhere, not just this planet, not just being human, but in the heavenly worlds or anywhere, existence is suffering. Don't exist, he says. Not be in a better place, because there is no better place to be. Because you can't be and happy at the same time. Mutually exclusive. Because for as long as there's being, there's suffering. For as long as there's being, you want to be, right? If you want to be, then there's a problem. Want. I want to be. Because being is conditional. This is real simple logic. Being is conditional. So if you want to be, now you have to continue to provide the conditions. You have to continue to foster. You have to continue to nourish the conditions. Keep feeding the conditions. Keep them in your favor so that being can continue. Why? Because being is conditional. Being alive is conditional. Being a Deva is conditional. Being a Brahma is conditional. Being in the Asanya Sattva is also conditional. Being anywhere is conditional. Or being an Arahant, that is also conditional. Being a Buddha is conditional. That's why the ultimate goal is Nirvana, where you do not exist. Because for as long as you exist, you have to continue to keep existing. And it's not something that is automatic. You have to keep feeding the nourishments, the nutriments. You've got to keep feeding it. The food has to be kept fed. So it's non-stop. There's no rest. There's no rest. Wanting has to be fixed. Desire has to be fixed. So when you're at home then, when you get back to your homes, right, when you get back to your car, you open the car, get in, right, take a moment and contemplate. You know, people used to, before, you might have seen, or you might have done this yourself. If you start driving, right, you touch the steering wheel, and some people worship, right? Some people have a habit of doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in fact, you know, people used to do this because when our ancestors, it came as a habit to people because they sought refuge in the triple gem. That's why people used to do it 3 times, you know, touching the steering wheel and worship once to the Buddha, second time to the Dhamma, third time to the Sangha. So they seek refuge in the triple gem. By the blessings of the triple gem, may I be able to fulfill my journey, reach my destiny, complete my journey. Yes, it's in a worldly sense, of course, but at least they sought refuge in the triple gem. So you can do the same thing. When you get into your car, right, take a moment, contemplate. Be ashamed of the fact that today you have a car. Not be proud about it. Be ashamed of it. Be disgusted with yourself that you have a car. Not be proud of it. I used to be proud that I had a big car. I used to show it off to my friends. I used to drive my friends around. A fancy car I used to show it off to my friends. How lame. How pitiful. How disgusting. Attiyati harayati jigucchati. This word harayati, right? The meaning of the word harayati is shameful. I found a Sinhala term that better describes it. Have you heard the word hirikitai? I think that's where harayati comes from. Or in fact, hirikitai comes from harayati. Hirikitai, which is worse than shameful. In fact, the English term would be disgusting. I find it disgusting. I find the life I used to live, folks, disgusting. I'm sorry to say. Now, thinking about the things I used to possess, right? The car I used to drive, all the goods that I had at home, right? The TV, the washing machine, the microwave, the blender, the cooker, the refrigerator, all these things I used to have. Now I know that I had to have them. I had to. I was left with little choice. Because there is a being who's suffering. He is a being who's suffering. And to relieve myself of my suffering, to relieve myself of my vexation, I had no choice. I went down the path of least resistance. Once you come into this world, now you have to survive. You should be ashamed then. When you walk back into your homes, as you open the gate, drive your car in, look either side. You'll see the pond outside with the water lilies. And you'll see the kennel on the right hand side where Tango is. Tango is in there. How does he know? Then you see the landscaped garden. Lovely landscape and lovely grass, velvet green. And then the little bridge that you have to walk over to get to your main door. And the little patio with the wood carvings and those rukkala. What are all these evidence of? Your vexation. Then open the door with the brass handle. Very posh. Very posh indeed. And the carvings on the wooden door. Lovely choice. Open it, walk in, and look at the tiled floor. Oh no, sorry, is it granite? Yeah, that one. Evidence that you're vexing. Be ashamed. So put your hand up if you're a proud housewife. I'm proud. This is my home, and I'm proud to call it my home. Thinking back at my old life, I am disgusted that I used to call that my home. Because that was all nothing other than evidence that I was vexing infinitely. I know we Sri Lankans, we have a habit of not throwing anything away, right? We are a bunch of hoarders. We love to collect things. Just in case. Like that spare wheel. Just in case. Once you start picking up the true nature of what I'm talking about, right? You won't have any trouble throwing that old stuff out. Throw out old junk that's just taking up space, where you never could able to pick up the courage. Just in case. Every day, every month, or once a year, you decide to say, right, this time I'm going to throw that rubbish out. And you walk up to it. You fold your sleeves and you start to get dirty. And you're saying, but just in case, those old newspapers, I'm sure it'll come of use sometime. Or those shopping bags, I can't throw them away just like that. Just fold them and put them under the mattress. Or those old rags, someone might want them. What about the broken washing machine? One day I'm going to get it fixed. It's just that one day never seems to come. One day will come, and then when that day comes, I'm going to get it fixed. The only thing that happens is it's just there gathering dust, and one day it's going to go in the pit anyway. It's going to go in the dumping yard. It's just a matter of time. Do we not have a habit of cooling our food before we throw it in the bin? It's going to go in the bin, but it can't go straight from cooker to bin. The leftovers, it has to go first into the fridge, right, then get cooled up, or then it gets graduated to the freezer, where it stays for about another week or two, or maybe sometimes years. And that's when you can pick up the courage to throw it into the bin. What a long way it's taken to the bin. Why? Fear. This is all fear. Fear of loss. What if I don't have it when I need it? What if I don't have it when I want it? All those old clothes I used to wear, it's still in the wardrobe. You still haven't thrown it away. Get big bags and Pack it all in, tie it, put it in, stick it in one of the cupboards, and it's there forever. Food for the termites. You just never can pick up the courage to give it away or throw it away. Why? Fear. So attached. We are a nation of Buddhists. We talk about giving, we talk about letting go, we talk about the Buddha, but you can't even pick up the courage to throw away your underwear from when you were 6 years old, just in case you might need it again. Seriously. We need to take a lesson from our own lives. How many pairs of shoes do you still have in there? They may be broken. One day I'm going to get it mended. How many umbrellas, broken umbrellas lying around the house? One day I'm going to take it to the what is it called, the shoesmith, get it mended. One day. Broken blender. One day I'm going to take it to the electrician, get it fixed. Can't throw it. Broken TV. That's been there for how long? It's gathering dust. So this is why we need big houses anyway. Why? Because half the house is populated with people, the other half is populated with all the rubbish you can't pick up the courage to throw away. So as every year passes by, the house needs to get bigger. Simply because you can't let go. You live in your own dump. Is that not true? All of these are evidence that you are vexing. Your dump is evidence that you are vexing. This is why I say, just stop. Right? You don't need to go anywhere. Stop. Walk into your living room. Sit down. Right? Make yourself a cup of tea, just to make you feel good. Right? Just in case you faint. Right? Get yourself a cup of tea. Sit down. Now take a sip. Put the tea mug on the teapot. Now just take a good look around your living room. Ask yourself, why did all of these items come in here? All those box sets. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, all those seasons, right? And played out perfectly. Why did they all come in there? Ask them. In your mind, find answers. The trilogies. I was a bigger movie fanatic than any of you were. Oh, I can tell you that. As to binge on movies, a weekend was movie time. I couldn't care if it was a camera copy. But that's the old life that I find disgusting today. Because I know everything I did was evidence to me that I was vexing, that I was a defeat. I was a failure. I had lost. Until I came across the one who is infinitely victorious. Until such time I had not found the path to victory. Today I realize those were reasons to be shameful of. Walk into your bedroom, open the drawers, look at your dressing table, look at how many makeup kits you've got. Look at all the colors in your makeup kit. Open up your wardrobes. Look at how many different styles, how many different designs, right? Every season you have something, right? Autumn collection, summer collection, winter collection. You had to go and get something. This is all evidence that you are vexing. The moment you switched on that TV, The moment you sat down in front of it, the moment you started seeing those commercials, you're looking at the TV, and the TV is looking at your what? Nudity. The TV is looking at your nudity. You have it all opened up, on display. And then one after one, each of those commercials, they raped you like raping was going out of fashion. They completely destroyed you. And they got you so excited, so worked up about all those things that they were advertising. The next thing you know, even as you hit bed, all those commercials, they're now playing up in your mind. Subliminal messages, have you never heard of this stuff? Like, it's so subtle, you don't even know it's being advertised. Kids watch cartoons and they show ads in between cartoons. Yes? Yes? No. They show cartoons in between the ads. World famous cartoons, I'm not going to put any names out there. World famous cartoons, everyone knows of them. Duh. You know what I'm talking about. They come on screen, right? Everywhere you look, there's an advert. The cap, it's got a branding. T-shirt, it's got a branding. Subliminal messaging. Kids pick up all these things. I said, they're like sponges. You got the kid down to watch the rabbit and the turtle, the race. At the end of the cartoon, he comes back and says, I want an X-Men figure. Well, where did that come from? Which bit of the hare and the turtle was the X-Men came into that? No, there was an advert. There was an advert. It's all there, it's all out there. So cover up your kids' nudity. Otherwise, every man and dog out there is just waiting to rape them. This is mental rape. It's worse than the other one. You know, because you're the other one, the worst that can happen is a kid can die. You can die. That's the worst that can happen. But with this, you know, this is an infection so severe that it makes you immortal. Did you hear me? Indoctrinating you that this world is pleasurable, joyful and essential is so bad, it's so severe, it's an infection that is so severe it makes you immortal. Meaning, you can never die. Die today, what's going to happen tomorrow? You're reborn. Die tomorrow, what's going to happen again? You're reborn. It makes you immortal in samsara. That's how bad Ashvada Sapasara is. That's how bad Nitya Sukhatha is. It makes you immortal. Doesn't let you stop this process. It makes you keep going on and on and on and on and on. What's the worst curse there is? Is it a famine? Is it hunger? Is it disease? No, it's a curse that you have all been cursed with already. It's the curse of samsara. This is why once you have been cursed, to break the curse, you need a Supreme Buddha. Alexander Fleming can give you penicillin, but he can't break the curse. If you forget E equals mc squared, Mr. Einstein will come back and remind you. But if you have been indoctrinated that this world is pleasurable, you need a Supreme Buddha. One you have now come across. This is the only chance you get to become mortal again. This is mortal combat. the combat to become mortal again. Because you are all immortal. I am immortal and I am ashamed about it. I am immortal and I am disgusted about it. I want to become mortal. I want to become mortal such that when this life ends, I want it to be the last life. I don't want to be reborn again. This is why the Buddha is my only refuge. This is why the Dhamma is my only refuge, and this is why the Sangha is my only refuge. I am on a combat for mortality. Not immortality, mortality. As in, the right to die. I'm fighting for my right to die. Are you getting what I'm saying? All of these have deeper meanings, not just the superficial. Hopefully you're getting it. So break out of this prison. You're all imprisoned until you have been able to quench, extinguish, and put out the fire of desire. You will not have peace, you will not have rest until such time. And old age and time is taking away opportunity. But as of now, you all have opportunity, you all have the chance. That's why I say the last 5 years does not have to be what the next 5 years looks like. You can change. Take action. Knowledge is not power. I don't believe in that. Knowledge put into action is power. Put what you have learned into action. Do the things that we ask you to do. So as you eat that cake, contemplate, right? Because this is your teacher. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the cake. That is your teacher. Listening to the Dhamma alone is not going to take you to Nibbana. Listening to the Dhamma is only the start. That's the small step. But the giant leap comes with your practice. That small step is just the nudge to get you onto the Noble Eightfold Path. From that point forward, you need to contemplate. You now have a guarantee. You have a cast iron guarantee. If you become a Sotapanna, you will become an Anagami in the next 2,500 years. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I just love hearing myself say that. That's why I've said that about 10 times over now. It's given me added courage. It's given me so much oomph to my journey. I mean, I feel so glad. If I become a Sotapanna, I have a guarantee now that in the next 2,500 years, I will become an Anagami. I mean, how great is that? 2,500 years is nothing. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. How many lots of 2,500 have we come past by now? The next 2,500 is nothing. We're not talking about 1,000,000 years. The Ice Age was longer than 2,500 years. What the hell are we talking about? I don't think there's ever been a better time to do this. This is the best time to do it. We got to do it now. Are you with me? Are you? Let's do it then. We can do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do this. I found this interesting piece of information somewhere. It said, for every time someone says that you cannot do something, okay? For every time someone says you cannot do something, to negate its effect, you have to be told the opposite a minimum of 17 times. So for every time someone comes up to you and says, Nirvana, forget it. You got to be convinced at least 17 times in total before you will begin to accept, at least begin to consider that it's a possibility. But this is only a problem until you have become a Sotapanna. Once you have become a Sotapanna, how many times must they tell you before you now change your belief that Nirvana is possible? How many times? Not all the times in the world can make you change your belief. Because it has now become conviction. It is now self-evident, not because someone said so, not because a book says so, not because the Buddha said so. It's because it has become self-evident. Put every ounce of energy that's left in your body, put every ounce of energy that's left in your mind towards your salvation, and I will guarantee you can do it. You can. You absolutely can. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, you can. Otherwise, there's no reason why you're still hanging along. How long ago did we start these sessions? Long ago in Almatinara. Not everyone who used to come still comes. Some of them may be finding it difficult to come, but not everyone who used to listen to them anymore. People come, people go. People come, people go, because now may not be their time. Perhaps it's another time for them. But don't you wait for another chance. You have wasted enough chances. Let's not waste another chance. Every breath you take, apply it towards your goal, your purpose. Every breath you take, believe in Nirvana. Live and breathe it. Allow the Dhamma to touch your lives. Allow the Dhamma to transform your lives. Allow the Buddha to enter your lives. This is not an affirmation, by the way. Okay? You can't wake up every morning and say these things 3 times every morning, every afternoon, every evening, and it's going to come true. No, it doesn't work like that. It only happens if you allow the Dhamma to transform your lives by listening to the Dhamma and then contemplating on the Dhamma. This has to become true for you. And what better time to do it than now? Because if you just allow yourself to become a Sotapanna in the next 2,500 years, we won't be around to say hello to the Maitri Buddha. If you were to ask the Maitri Buddha now, say, he's going to be a Bodhisattva somewhere, right? If you were to ask the Maitri Buddha, who's now a Bodhisattva, would you like for me to hang around, for you to come around? Or would you like me to go before you come? What do you think he's going to say? If he's the actual Bodhisattva, he's going to say, get out. Don't wait for me. Get out. You have everything you need, folks. You have your life. You have energy within you. You have purpose. You have teachers. You have the Dhamma. You have belief. You have the language. You have everything. You have all the tools you need. All you need is to have the right attitude, is to pick up the willpower, to pick up the courage, to pick up the energy, to make the journey. Before I conclude, I want to show you that video. So in this video, I think if you came along to the Sinhala sermon, you may have seen this. Guru Swami Nwanse showed it in one of his sermons a while ago. The wordings were in Sinhala, so we translated them to English, so you can all understand it. It'll show you what seems like beings coming and going. So we are a human now, a man, a woman, a child. But then you die and you're reborn, perhaps as another human being. And you die and then you're reborn, maybe as a human being, or maybe an animal. And you die and you're reborn again, perhaps as a deva, or as a preta, or as a brahma. What this video will help you understand is that behind all these external changes, ultimately all that's going on is the mind arising and passing away. So superficially it looks like it's a different being. Today a human being, tomorrow a dog, in another 100 years a bee, in another 1,000 years that's an ant, right? Superficially, it's like changing clothes. So death is like going into a changing room. You just change your clothes, but then you come out with a mind that arises and passes away. So hopefully it will help you to understand that this notion of a self is a made-up one. Because people come to this idea that there's a self, there's an I that prevails throughout samsara. And even in the time of the Buddha, there were a lot of people who walked up to him and asked him this question. This Atma, or the self. Is there an Atma that comes from time immemorial to an endless future? Is there a self that keeps going on? To which the Buddha's response was, you're asking the wrong question. For as long as there are causes, there will be an effect. When the causes cease to exist, then the product or the result ceases to exist. And in very simple terms, what people used to think as being an Atma was how through death, people's beings changed, their forms changed. Right? Today a human being, perhaps 100 years ago it was a dog. 200 years ago it was a bird. Right? So they could look back into their past through spiritual powers. You can do that. I can't do that, people can. They could look back into the future, and they saw that the mind seems to keep traveling, but it's like one changing clothes, the external body keeps changing. So they began to believe then that perhaps it's the mind that is continuing as a self. But ultimately what the Buddha said is, no, that's not the case. All that's going on is, in the present moment there are causes which give rise to the mind, and at the present moment when the causes cease to exist, passes away. So ultimately there's only a single fundamental unit, and that is the mind arising and passing away. If you watch the video, you'll be able to you'll be able to understand it to a good extent, and we'll continue the conversation in next week's sermon. And when the mind arises, and when the mind is defiled with ignorance and attachment, primarily ignorance, the notion of a self surfaces. And so you get this feeling that I am a human and I am here. My name is this. Right? My name is Sam. I'm a human. Right? You feel it. Do you not all sense a self? Self-awareness. This is the being of the self. We all sense that. Until you become an arahant, where any feeling or any sensation of a self is extinguished, what's going on is the mind arising and passing away. That is what happens in real life, in real terms. But through ignorance, the notion of a self comes into being. And if you remember, we talked about Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, Ashvad, pleasurable, joyful, essenseful, and how the combination of the three comes to this conclusion that it's worthy of existence. And then we take this journey to create that existence through pleasurable feeling, unpleasurable feeling, and equanimous feeling. And regardless of which path you've come on, the self is created, and this is what's going on. So I'll revisit that topic next week, but hopefully this video will give you something to think about. Right today you may feel, okay, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a child, right? I'm this, I'm that. I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, right? I'm a police officer, I'm a student, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a father, I'm a daughter, I'm a son, I'm a postman, right? These are all conventions that we have labeled ourselves with. Even, that those forms of existence, I'm a deva, I'm an animal, I'm a ant, I'm a bird, these are all simply conventions. When ultimately what's going on is simply the mind arising and passing away, and it's the mind that just keeps changing the outfit, depending on the nature of the mind, depending on how defiled the mind is. The less the defilements, the more it moves towards the sugati, or the blissful plane, so from human and above. The worse the more defilements there are in the mind, the more wicked the mind is, the more evil the mind moves towards the niraya, or the hells. But ultimately, it's simply at the arising and the passing away of the mind. The self is artificial, the self is created. If you remember baby Natasha, along an old story, how this baby Natasha was a creation of someone who'd gone insane. So if you missed the sermon, then you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Baby Natasha. So the insane mother who thought that she was with child, but ultimately, it was only a fantasy in her mind. She didn't have a child, but that didn't stop her from looking after the child. This fictitious child, this imaginary child, she used to feed, wash, clothe, right? Take pictures of. She had photo albums. She even troubled her husband, complained, why are you not looking after the child? Why are you not washing her? How come I have to do all the chores? Why don't we share our duties? She complained about all these things because she thought the child was really there, but ultimately it was only a fictitious child. It was imaginary. Ultimately one day she got treated for her insanity, and then she discovered, actually, this is only a fiction of my own imagination. The child doesn't exist for real. So then all the things that she used to do, like feeding, going shopping, buying items of food and clothing and things like that for the child, she began to realize all of that was essenceless, meaningless, useless. In fact, she became ashamed of herself. Just like I feel ashamed of my past now. The more this medicine heals me, the more I become ashamed of the things I used to do to foster the self, to feed the self, to nurture the self. Self-preservation, when ultimately the self is nothing other than a fiction. There's nothing to foster, there's nothing to care for, because the self is not real, it's fake. So really we're all looking after a child that does not exist. The day you begin to realize that, it'll feel like the earth starts to tremble below your feet. That'll be a groundbreaking experience. That'll be an earth-shattering experience. You're not going to feel anything physical, but mentally you will begin to realize what was the purpose of all these things I used to do. When it was nothing other than to feed a self which really does not exist. It's simply an artificial fabrication of the mind. But let's not rush. Let's take one baby step at a time. But hopefully I want you to think about it. Give it some thought. Why did Swami Master show this video? What was the purpose? What was the message? Think about it. How many times might we have been devas? How many times might we have been humans? How many times might we have traveled or traversed in the animal realm? So if we look back at our past, it's simply been a change of outfit. But the mind has simply arose and passed away. That's our history. That is what's happened to us. That is our lineage, the arising and passing away of the mind. And for as long as the mind wants, for as long as the mind desires, that will continue to an endless future, which may take you back into the hells. So rid the mind of desire, rid the mind of wanting, rid the mind of longing and yearning and needing, and you will become free, because that is the prison. Okay, so we'll conclude the sermon there. So I've asked for you all to do something at home when you get back, right? Hopefully you won't forget. I have strategically placed some exam papers. So I'm going to test if you pass or fail. Right? If you feel the desire for it, folks, see if you can be patient for another hour. You don't have to tell yourself, I'm never going to do it. Because that may be impractical. That may be impossible. What made possible impossible? I am. Right? I am, as in self. So it's yourself that made possible impossible. There's nothing impossible. Nothing is impossible except for when you put I am into the picture. When you put self into the picture, that's when possible becomes impossible. So you don't have to force yourself to not eat cake for the rest of your life. Some people do like that, but it's useless. Well, it's great that they try it, but most of the time it's not. It's very short-lived. Rather, what's better to do is promise yourself, right? I'm not going to have it for the next hour. I want it. I know I want it, but I'm going to wait an hour. I'm going to contemplate on this, and I'll come back in an hour and have it. And the reason for that is, if you have X amount of energy within you right now, mental energy to fight the temptation, X, at the end of that hour, you will have practiced more energy. You will have practiced effort. You will have X plus something. So if the amount of courage you're going to pick up, the amount of willpower you're going to pick up within an hour is 5, at the end of that hour you're going to have X plus 5, which is going to be stronger, a stronger force than what you had an hour ago. So actually, after the hour, now you're going to face your enemy stronger than you did an hour ago. That's how you got to play the game. So don't give yourself promises about, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to watch TV again. I'm never going to eat cake again. Right? Don't have to do it that way. You can't fast yourself to Nibbana. It doesn't work in the Buddhist philosophy. Do an hour at a time. Do half a day. Young children, sometimes it may be that you're browsing the internet, right? And some pop-up comes along and you feel the temptation to click on it. You know what I'm talking about. And the temptation is so strong. So I'm not saying, tell yourself, no, I'm never going to do it, because that may not be possible. Time and time, it may be that you have failed at this very obstacle. Instead of telling yourself, I'm never going to do it, tell yourself, right, I'm going to do it, but not now, in 6 hours' time. Not today, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll come back, and tomorrow if I still want it, I'll do it, but not today. And in that day that lapses by, practice the Dhamma. Listen to the Dhamma. Keep handy a part of a sermon. Keep it handy, maybe on your phone, maybe on your computer. Because I know, some of these sermons, they can be 3-4 hours long. You don't have the time to listen to all that. But if you have a short sermon or a clip of a sermon, let's say 5 minutes long, 5-10 minutes, if you have it handy on your phone, when you feel the temptation to do something you know you don't want to do, you're ashamed that you're having to do it, listen to that clip. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. At the end of that, you will not want to do it. Because it's at that time you need support, you need reinforcement to fight your enemy. Because your enemy is not going to come while you're here on Sunday afternoon. Your enemy is going to come and visit you when you're at home. So when you're at home is when you need that reinforcement, when you need your teacher with you. Well, I can't come with you. So whatever sermon, doesn't have to be something you hear here at this monastery. Whatever sermon, whatever piece of Dhamma helps you to fight that enemy, keep something accessible. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, get a clip from somewhere, edit the thing, right? Keep it ready, keep it readily accessible. And if it's anger, right? Someone shouts at you, now you feel you want to shout back. You feel anger within you. If you want to shout back, if you want to have a go at them, have something accessible, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where we've talked about anger and how to fight anger within your heart, how to extinguish the fire of anger. Listen to it and then come back. Hopefully by the time you listen to it, you will no longer want to. You will no longer want to have a go at that person. So be practical. Take the practical approach. We'll talk about it more next week. Okay. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fire of birth, freed from the fire of decay, freed from the fire of illness, freed from the fire of death, freed from the fire of sorrow, freed from the fire of lamentation, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fire of suffering, freed from the fire of discontentment, freed from the fire of exhaustion, freed from the fire of disappointment, freed from the fire of clinging on to the 5 aggregates, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the suffering of samsara, freed from the disease of samsara, freed from the fear of samsara, freed from the fire of samsara, freed from the burning of samsara, freed from the sorrow of samsara, freed from the lust of samsara, freed from the clutches of samsara, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. The karma worlds are in despair, May I and all beings be freed from the Kama worlds. The Rupa worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be freed from the Rupa world. The Arupa worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be freed from the Arupa worlds. All worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be freed from all the worlds. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. Letting go is the only salvation. May I and all beings let go. Detachment is the only salvation. May I and all beings be detached. Being freed is the only salvation. May I and all beings be freed. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. Nibbana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the bondage of lust, freed from the bondage of aversion, freed from the bondage of delusion, freed from the bondage of Mara, healed with the eternal bliss of Nibbana, 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 healed with the eternal bliss of Nibbana. Okay. Let us all take a moment then to transfer the merits that we have all acquired today. First and foremost, let us once again remind ourselves that it is because the Supremely Enlightened One, the Perfect One, the Omniscient One, the Undefeated One, the Unvanquished One, the Peerless One, the Unparalleled One, that we have the gift of Dhamma today. It is because of His infinite compassion towards all sentient beings, including you and I, that we have the gift of Dhamma that has helped us to unshackle ourselves from samsara. Let us also in this moment take a moment to transfer the merits to the Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasaka, Upasikas who since time immemorial protected and preserved the Dhamma and passed it down to us, down through the generations in the form of the Tripitaka, which today is available to us, accessible to us, which we can study, understand, analyze and comprehend. May they all rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. In transferring merits to the Mahasangha, let us also not forget for a moment about the members of the Mahasangha who are resident in your local temples, as well as the nuns in your local nunneries. Although you may have come along to this monastery today to make offerings to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, perhaps offer alms and so on and so forth, let us not forget for a moment that it is those monks who are resident local to you, who have always been by your side through thick and thin, come rain or shine. It is there you send your children to the Hampasal. Let us take a moment to transfer merits to all of them. They are men and women just like yourselves who have donned robes today and have dedicated their lives to practicing the path, but in the time that they have put aside to practicing the path and their liberation, they have carved out time to help you redeem yourselves from samsara. So may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. May through the power of these blessings, if any of them have today been born in the woeful planes, be able to redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits they abstain from the unwholesome deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to the Devas, Brahmas, spirits, demons and the dead. all those beings who will have been ancestors to us, those who will have predeceased us in this infinite long journey in samsara, be a mother, father, uncle, aunt, brother, sister, grandparents, teachers, and so on and so forth, anyone and everyone who might have helped us, supported us, assisted us in any way, shape or form in this infinite long journey in samsara, to have become better people, to have found happiness in our lives in whichever way they were able to do. May they all rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, they will redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits, they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to all the men and women in the armed forces who will have fought a long and cold war in Sri Lanka. It is they who sacrificed their lives to protecting and preserving the peace and harmony of this country, as well as all those men and women who might have lost their lives in the disasters. Be they friend or foe, may they all be able to rejoice in merits that we have all acquired today, and as well as those who might have lost their lives in natural calamities such as the tsunamis, hailstorms, earthquakes, and so on and so forth, not just in Sri Lanka but also in other parts of the world. Reminding ourselves for a moment that each and every one of those beings will have at some point in this infinite long journey in samsara been a mother to us, been a father to us. They may have cradled us, they may have fed us, they may have sheltered us. They will have doted on us with all the love that they could offer us. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have today been born in the woeful planes, be able to redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits they abstain from the unwholesome deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to everyone and anyone who might have helped make this event a success, either by informing you of these sermons, or perhaps by ushering you to a seat, or perhaps by providing you with transport to be here and to be present here today, or perhaps by offering you a meal, or perhaps by making your stay here as comfortable as it could be, as well as those people who may be involved in developing the technology that we use here to make the sermons accessible to you, as well as make them available over the internet to other listeners as well as readers out there, and those who are involved and engaged in transcribing these sermons and contributing to propagating the Buddha's Dhamma in whichever way and capacity that is available to them and they are capable of. May they all be able to rejoice in merits that we have all acquired today, and may through the power of these merits they abstain from the unwholesome deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also not forget your parents, as well as your siblings and all those members of your family, as well as those of your colleagues and co-workers who have today made this opportunity available to you. It is they who have permitted you to be here today, to be present here today, to practice the path. It is thanks to them that today you are able to work towards your salvation. So, regardless of what their beliefs are, what their opinions are, they have permitted you to be here today. They have permitted you to walk the path to salvation. So may the merits that we have all acquired today be transferred to all of them. May through the power of these merits they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, they fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may through the power of all the merits that we have all acquired today, we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arahatun Mahanses in this blessed land and in our very lives itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may through the course of all these merits, you and I and everyone who will have contributed in whichever shape or form to make this a success, to make the Dhamma available to you and for future generations, be able to become one of those Arahatun Mahanses, one of those Arahat Mehenin Mahanses in this very life itself and the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of desire. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of aversion. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of delusion. May I and all beings in all worlds attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May the Noble Triple Gem be with you all forever. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.